And there it is. Friends, we are back here on the analyst desk and getting ready for our second matchup. It's Team Liquid versus FaZe Clan. We're here to fill you in on all the details before we get it started. That was the introduction. Thank you very much for that, Steve. We're back here on the desk. I'm Most your host. With me are Fresh, of course, but now Anne joining us. How are you today? Feel good?
Really good, yeah. I'm very energized, looking forward to the games. It's a pleasure to be here. I just can't wait to get it started, really.
We've been phasing up for the past couple minutes, have we not, Fresh?
I'm still learning
Still know how to do it. It was a thumb.
I think I got it.
Hey, that's good.
I think I got it.
He's phasing up. There you go. All right. And speaking of which, as we're continuing, how about we have a chat about our two teams, starting off with FaZe Clan. So what is their setup for this event? Because let's remember, a year ago, they won it in Gävle.
I mean, I love that confidence from the starting video as well, saying, you know, this is Sweden, this is our place, and we're here to win it again in the same country. They were the runner-ups at the Berlin Major. They played that best of 5 against Rogue, and it came down to the final round. So it could have almost gone the other way. But they're here, and they're ready to take on some teams. And one player I really want to talk about specifically is Cameraman, because I see him as a utility player. When you see him play, he can sit on top of a hatch, holding a candela, waiting. You see him looking at his teammates' screens. Where are we? Are we ready for an execute? And he really is that player that will enable a push and help his teammates.
For a player that's been around so long, like so long, since day one, I'm sure Milos was at his first event as well.
Yes.
Cameraman, yes, you definitely was. Cameraman is a guy in this team that is happy to do the grunt work, that's happy to do the work. Like you say, he'll sit and hold a candela. He'll play the Capital. He'll play the some of the operators that people don't want to play. He'd play a gridlock if it was needed. He plays whatever's needed to be that rock for his team. Now, FaZe are an ultra-flexible team. They've got maybe a little bit, you could argue maybe a little bit too much flexibility, but he's that rock in that team, similar to how Julio's the rock for W7M. He's been really impressive this tournament. There's been games where he's popped off with double-digit games as well.
All right, and now talking about Team Liquid on the other side. Team Liquid's kind of a mixed bag because you're like, oh my God, they're playing so well in Brazil, and then they either fail to qualify, don't really do too well internationally. You're always expecting the world out of this team, but they've had massive changes. We're looking back at SI22, the swaps that they've had. Now they have a great addition to their team.
Do I say the line, Milos?
Go ahead.
I said the line. Team Liquid. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
No!
I think we can talk about the young players that came in that have now got a bit of experience, but there's one player that we should all be talking about, and that's Lagonis. The thing that he has done... Lagonis. He's had three different iterations of teams in each stage and got to the major with them all in this year. Every team he touches improves tenfold. Now, Liquid were always on the precipice. If he can improve them, this is a Liquid that can push on and get past that step. I believe that's why they brought him in. And he is, again, you know, we talk about these Brazilian teams and the rock at the back. That is Lagonis for this team.
I mean, we have the Sweden major winners here. We also have Lagonis, who did win a major with Team 1 in Mexico. And you mentioned every team that he gets on, he improves by tenfold. He's been on this team for 2 months now, the new IGL, the main planter on the roster as well. And while we mentioned Cameraman on the side of FaZe, I think there is something that Liquid have for themselves that can really work against such a player like Cameraman. We have seen Liquid be very good with those specific counterbans. They banned the Frost for Bolo. They ban a Mountain because they know how Rogue used it in Theme Park. Ying against the Sandbox, for example. So if they know what Cameraman likes to play regarding utility, Lion, Dokubi, all that type of stuff, they can just ban it out.
Imagine improving a team tenfold by a team that already has Nescam Paulo on it. But that's something I'm really looking forward to. Here's our pick and bans, by the way, 9-map pool, and we're removing quite a few of them because we only need 3 for the series. Villa is up first, picked up by FaZe. Second is Clubhouse, picked up by Liquid. And finally, our decider will be Oregon. General thoughts on the map ban, Jack?
There's a permaban that's been picked. You know, we talk about hiding maps. Liquid, they hate Clubhouse. They've got to a best of 3. They've picked it. First best of 3. It's literally been a permaban for them for so long, and now they've picked it up against FaZe. They're bringing it out when it really matters.
Yeah, but then again, also for FaZe, they've been banning Villa for a really long time. In the past 4 months, it's one of their most banned maps, and Liquid goes and picks that map. It was a 8-7 for Liquid for beating FaZe just less than a month ago during the Cooper Elite 6, and well, FaZe have a feeling that this time they do have that edge on this map. I'm just a little bit surprised with the map ban FaZe, because the maps that were picked were on the top 2 of my first banning thing.
We were expecting them both to be insta-banned, and then they've been picked, right?
But then if you look at this, these teams have been played against each other for a very long time, right? Less than a month ago, they played against each other in the Copa Elite 6. All these games were won by Liquid, but they played a total of 5 different maps. That's half the map pool. So these teams know how the opponent plays on quite a few different maps.
Then let's talk about map number 1 in the series, Villa. You said, again, it's a surprise, much like Clubhouse. FaZe are starting off on the attacking side. It's their pick, but it's Liquid that gets to pick their starting side. So is there something that can be worked out here, Jack?
It's kind of a difficult one because just very briefly coming back to that map pool point is all of these teams will play 8 or 9 maps. It's a LATAM thing. You don't play any less or you're not going to do well. I think for Villa, I'm hoping they've gone away and reimagined it because they are on a hot losing streak on it. You know, they lost it to Liquid in Copa Elite, they lost it to Rogue in the major, and they've lost it before that. This year's not been kind to FaZe Clan on Villa. So I'm hoping that they've gone away. They've obviously had a bit of time to prepare for this major, being a week later than usual, and just reworked it just very slightly because they were very close to beating Liquid on it the last time they played.
There's a little bit of information on how Liquid plays on this map because they took a loss against TSM in the group phase. But if you think about it, that game didn't really matter that much for Liquid. They were already qualified and they were playing against a team that was TSM and that really needed that victory in order to qualify for the playoffs as well. So there is a little bit of information that FaZe can go ahead and study onto, but it might not have been the top of notch when it comes to strats because the game didn't matter to them.
It's true. How do you even try to rate that? Well, you know what? Game's ready. So predictions for map 1 real quick. Who takes it?
FaZe.
FaZe up?
Ooh. Yeah, I think they can improve and they can take it. Yeah.
All right. Both in for FaZe for Villa. What do you think? Watching at home and here in Jönköping, we're ready to go. Let's toss it to our casters to get it all started. It's Mandy and Dev. It's FaZe via Liquid.
What a huge Brazilian battle we have in store. 2 huge, iconic teams within the region. What a treat for us to be able to witness it.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get stuck into this one. 2 huge Brazilian teams. We're so happy to be here inside of Sweden. But to you guys at home, thank you so much for sitting in. Get rugged up, get some tea or some hot cocoa, because the show is going to be a banger.
It certainly will. FaZe and Liquid have a rivalry as old as time in Rainbow Six. 2 huge organizations that both entered the Brazilian scene at the same time many, many years ago, and since then they have been fighting back and forth. It has been FaZe who has found more international success as of recent times. 1 year ago, they won the major here in Sweden, and just in Berlin 3 months ago, they were the runners-up at the major there. However, Team Liquid always seem to have FaZe's number. The last time that Liquid was beaten by FaZe in a BO3 was over 2 years ago. Ever since then, it's been Team Liquid all day long.
Team Liquid just seem to have the BO3 fire, you know. These guys are a very mature roster. So are FaZe, to be fair. Both of them in terms of age-wise and experience-wise are pretty equally matched, but Liquid always seem to come out on top of these best-of-3 series. Now, Anne quickly touched on the addition of Lagonis into the roster, who is also a very experienced player, and I can only imagine that his addition into the roster has added in that extra leadership and fluidity that Liquid need to take it to FaZe, and especially in recent times, their progression has been tremendous.
Yeah, and we do have a lot of players in the server today that have felt that rush of becoming a champion. Of course, these FaZe Clan guys all felt that a year ago here. But even Lagonis, for example, back when he played for Team 1 at the Mexico Major, he was a champion. Nesk, of course, way back in 2017 or 2018, the Atlantic City Pro League finals, when Team Liquid had their one and only international trophy, he was leading that team forward. But of course, we can't forget about exactly what Fresh was saying on the desk. Team Liquid, we call them the bridesmaids, never the brides, and that's because they are always so close and yet not close enough. There was a beautiful moment in 2021 where they got to that 6 Invitational Grand Final in Paris, but unfortunately they fell short to NIP. And when you have players as iconic as Nesk and Palu on this roster, isn't it unthinkable to realize that Palu has never won a major or equivalent tournament?
The Kings Without Crowns. All right, that was the line that we said in the group stage when we were casting these guys, especially when we said this match against TSM, right? These guys show us that they deserve to be here on this major stage. They've shown us time and time again, every single international event, they're consistently inside of the lobby. But can they take it this time? That's the question.
Well, we will find out here on Villa to kick off this massive series. Team Liquid stealing the community vote with 2/3 on their side. but I have no doubt there will be people looking to phase up here. And Villa will be our battleground. It has been picked by FaZe. Let's see if they can start strong and begin this revenge tour.
First ban going out is Jönköping from Team Liquid. Now, this is a curious one to me because when I think of Team Liquid, I think of Resets, right? Who is that player on the secondary support? He loves picking operators like Jönköping, and taking that away is an interesting one to me. Ying as well to go out means that all your hard breach and all of your Thatcher, baby EMPs, all the utilities left in the game.
Sounds like the crowd is really enjoying this operator veto.
I don't know if you guys can hear the crowd, but every time a ban...
Oh, there we go.
All right, I have no idea if you guys can hear the crowd, but every time a band comes through, they do a little whoa, and they go and hype it up for us. That's amazing. Love you guys out there. Van pace to come through has been pretty interesting so far. Well, my being taken off does mean that playing some of those anchor positions, I imagine like playing a shield at bricks, protecting your Azami barricades and resets, for example, who's just picked it here on this site, will be made a little bit more tricky. Pulse going out makes a lot of sense for me, especially against Lagones. He's a demon on it, especially on this map.
Protect your bombs from being defused.
Well, FaZe Clan starting on the attack here. Liquid, of course, got the choice of the starting side, and they will go to defense. We've seen some really good Villa attacks, but like many maps in the pool, it does seem to favor that defensive side. Now, while we have had operators like that Pulse banned out, we do have the Azami making it through. We do have that Valkyrie for extra information. Some really big hitting operators on that defense that when you have players as powerful as those on Liquid, you know that they can get creative with these operators and really make it difficult for FaZe to enter that building, to take that map control. And just have a look at this, Mandy. There's a very unusual shield setup in the 90 hallway.
That is very peculiar. I don't think we've ever seen Liquid run something quite like this. It is going to be Lagones that is the one on the shield in the 90 hallway. Not only that, but we've also got the Azami barricades. Resets is holding 2 in his pocket. He's just deployed 1 just then. And I can only imagine that this setup, the crossfire setup at 90 and at landing is going to be quite challenging for FaZe to push through.
Can I just say, Mandy, have a look at those attacking operators. I'm getting a bit of deja vu from the group stage. I believe it was Team Fury that did this Amaru and Blitz pick on Villa. And if I recall correctly, they went for a study and 90 rush. It looks like for now, FaZe Clan is just working some slow util game, but I've no doubt eventually it will be an explosive attack using those 2 operators.
If there is any attacking operator that you want against the lineup that Liquid have brought, it is probably Flores. Cameraman is making quick work of that study utility, but remember 90 is where the utility is held. It's Ask playing behind the shield here, and if FaZe decide they want to go for a map sweep, which actually doesn't look like they are, they could be met with some trouble.
Bullet is going to get inside the building, perhaps to go up from the red stairs. Okay, here we go. Capitao comes in, and Ask is feeling the heat. He's not going to be able to get out alive. He falls back, and oh my god, somehow, with the smallest of HP, he does escape. Cyber tempted to get in the window, and he goes for it. Up goes the Amaru, feeling a bit of pressure, takes a bit of damage, but it's Liquid to draw first blood. Here comes Astro, the Blitz, but it's not enough. Liquid will not be fooled, and FaZe start to fall apart.
But it's Bullet coming up the top of the red stairs, almost connecting the kills onto that player, just at landing. Souls and Bullet now in the 2-on-5 situation. 2-on-4 actually, Ask has been down, but it's looking pretty dire for FaZe Clan.
It's a desperate 2v5 now that Ask has been picked up. Bullet receives a couple, feeling a lot of pressure as they begin to hunt him down. Put that pressure on. Oh no! It's all up to Souls now. Palu and Resets to finish it off, and what a great counter rush from Team Liquid.
That was a pretty valiant effort from FaZe on that 90 winter to try and clear out that position inside of 90. Now remember, Wamai is banned out, so Capitao bolts will not be caught by anything. They're not caught by the ADSs that were protecting Ask's position. And even though they were on that 90 winter, they couldn't quite make the cutoff work. He got away with his life. And Liquid go to show that they're a super disciplined roster, right? That setup was very anchor-centric. It focused a lot on the utility on the site. And FaZe were just, they just couldn't prod quite into the site in time, and Liquid hold their ground.
Liquid will actually go to a completely different bomb site now. Instead of going stat trophy where most people would expect as a secondary, we're going down to kitchen dining, and we're seeing some side construction from the castle. I've seen a bit of this before, but I'm curious exactly where he'll be placing it and whether he's looking to aggressively hold some areas. It looks like maybe a closet hold could be in play. One castle barricade to go on the bathroom window.
So I just want to jump back down to this ground floor. Thank you, our lovely observers. So these footsies lines of sight that go inside of Memorial and go inside of Kitchen, inside of that laundry entry, does make it very hard to do a laundry execute once we get through to the late round, right? I imagine that this hallway is going to be more of a power position for the defenders, as they can see right through into where the execute might come from. It's pretty dangerous for FaZe. If they want to get to that late round, they'll have to identify that pretty quickly before they make the call for the execute.
Couple of changes on this attacking lineup. We have that Lion. The IQ as well, I think, is a great pick for this Valkyrie. A lot of information to be gathered and to be denied from this FaZe lineup. I love seeing the 0 in play from Astro this round. We can hear the first Lion E1D goes out. As FaZe try to take a little bit of map control, get a bit of information. They see this very strange setup around the bathroom. The closed off doorway with the castle barricade into Master, and yet a rotate. Looks like they might start to make their move. That's the second of 3 E1Ds.
This is FaZe in true FaZe fashion. Keep the defenders guessing. Don't hop in from anywhere just yet. It's actually asked to be taken down from that.
Oh, Nesk!
Nesk can get the trade off of that triple wall rotation.
It's always Nesk, isn't it? He goes for another one! This man, there's a good reason why he is known as one of the greatest of all time. He is shut down here, however. Resets, goes for an aggressive retake into Master, and Astro is trying to take him down as he finishes off Ask. It's a big ask now for him, and, well, Liquid can easily clean up what was left of FaZe. That's 2 rounds decisively in their favor.
Really lovely strat from Team Liquid there on that top floor, especially inside of that master bedroom to triple wall. It was Team Liquid that actually coined the strategy, in my opinion, opening up the triple wall and opening up that closet footsies holes, making it really hard to make that entry work in the top floor. It was this team that started it back in the day when it wasn't super popular, and now it's come to show once again in this best of 3, being able to hold those crossfires on the top floor, made entering into closet, bathroom, and master really tricky. In FaZe, I really feel like played into the hands of that strategy, going for a very minimalist take.
It's funny, you wouldn't be too far off if you guessed that last round was that stat trophy bomb site, because that's where all the action went down. But now we're actually going to this stat and trophy site. Team Liquid have been utterly dominant so far. Now, both of our analysts actually favored FaZe, which to me is a bit of a hot take, Mandy, because as our lovely statisticians, Brabuni, had pointed out, that stat I said earlier, it's been 2 years and 3 months since FaZe Clan has taken down Team Liquid in a BO3. And while FaZe have had better international performances, there's just something about this matchup. It's similar to W7M and FaZe. If FaZe do win this match, they'll probably be favored going into that semi-final against W7M, as historically that matchup favors FaZe in the same way that this matchup tends to favor Team Liquid.
I think correction was the desk favored FaZe for the map, I believe. So they haven't called it for the BO3, but for this map, they think FaZe is going to take it. But so far, Team Liquid have shown some pretty incredible defenses. FaZe, once again, looking for this probe attack onto the map. We've got 1 player at each point of entry, putting some pressure on the external windows. Syra, of course, typically the first point of entry for this roster, will make his way in through Art Gallery.
Oh, there's a very early pick for FaZe. Ask goes down. That's the first time FaZe have found the opener this game.
Not too bad, not too bad. Finally, we have a bit of an early round advantage, but here's Palu. He's here on the ground floor, anticipating that Cyber may be making his way through Pottery, and in fact, he is. Just at the bottom of the main stairs now, close engagement right around the corner. It's actually Palu to collect that kill, and all of a sudden, the man advantage has been evened out.
And what's more, Palu is allowed to fall back. In fact, his kill actually baited Bullet into pushing forward. Nesk took him down. Now it's really claustrophobic for FaZe Clan. All of their players together, but hang on a second, they've just found 2 kills. Opening up the site. Palu now is going to have to go big as this exothermic charge detonates on this main wall. It's a 2v3 for Palu and Lagonis.
That exothermic charge has gone down, but it hasn't prevented that split power position, which is where Palu is currently playing with that MP5. Still a pretty dangerous angle. Not only that, but is the addition of the impact grenades to take down that Kiba barrier that was protecting the player inside of Master.
Lagonis, the new pickup for Liquid. Such an experienced support player but he's taken a lot of damage. Tries to hold on to his position. FaZe Clan don't have to move fast. They still have the man advantage. As I say that, Palu rips it away from them as FaZe start to make their way into side. It's on Astro to now cover, but the smoke is really good there from Lagonis. Low HP on both of these Team Liquid players as Souls gets the flick he needs. It's up to Astro to clean up Lagonis, and FaZe can find their first round.
Fantastic push from FaZe. They were able to capitalize on that utility that was inside of Master to their favor. There was no longer a defender that was contesting them from bricks or from bathroom, and FaZe identified that because all of Liquid had pivoted over to try and stop the roam clear on the other side of the map, right? As soon as they got used to that space, triple wall was open and they could slowly but surely pinch out the remaining 2 defenders on the site, and finally FaZe get around on the board.
Perhaps it goes to show why Team Liquid didn't actually prefer that bomb site at Stat Trophy. They went to it third. Perhaps they're just not as confident in their ability on that side. They prefer dining. Well, now, fortunately for Liquid, this primary site of Aviator Games has been unlocked, and so they will return. But I find it very unlikely FaZe will do that similar Amaru and Blitz strategy, as it really flopped last time.
I don't imagine they will, but will Liquid repeat the same strategy they were going for? Ask, he's the one that was setting up that 90 corner shield with the ADSs, and it seems like he will do it once again, reinforcing off that hatch, putting down some ADSs for the window. Liquid not really changing their approach too much on this bomb site.
5 seconds to insert.
Well, it's strange to me that FaZe aren't picking the Capitao, because even if they're not going to go for this Amaru strategy, that Capitao is a sure way to force out that position, as Wamai's banned, like you mentioned before, but there's no Capitao on this attacking lineup.
Seems like a bit of a change in philosophy for FaZe. Liquid once again starting out on this roam extension over on the triple wall. Bullet on the Nook. Pretty characteristic of him to try and sneak his way into the building here on the ground floor, just droning out that bicycle room, seeing if there are any Liquid players to meet him.
It does seem to be a map clear here for FaZe, but you never really know with FaZe. They spend a lot of time setting up and checking and droning and measuring all their different options before they commit to something. And when they do commit, they don't hold back. But Palu downstairs, Nesk upstairs, all of these roamers are making it very difficult for Team Liquid, or rather for FaZe, to get any free map control.
This is a great spot for Astro to be on that Flores. Not only is he able to take down some of these keeper barricades, but he's also been able to take down the 90 hallway shield from that drone hole that he could send in his Rotero from. Right now, FaZe, it's opened up this side of the map for them, right? Knowing that 90 is essentially a highway now, it's been cleared out of utility, they may as well take the space that they've been given.
Seems like Ask's not too upset about losing his shield. He's still going to play in that 90 position for a little while. And yeah, it is a map clear, isn't it, from FaZe, and they've taken half of the map control on this top floor that they would like. Next step really is to clear out 90.
And that's exactly right. Bullet, we've got putting pressure down below. Now, Palu does have a C4 in hand, and he's in a very lethal position inside of that living room. So FaZe are going to have to be very careful as they move through 90 short, as they're in these connector positions.
Oh, Palu does go for that C4, and it's a double! Of course it is for Palu! This man is seemingly unstoppable. One of the best rated players at the tournament so far, and one of the best players that Rainbow Six has ever seen. He goes for another one. A 5v2 now. FaZe looking desperate. Souls can find one, but there's a lot more to be done in only 50 seconds to do it.
45 seconds, but Souls still does have some Selma charges in his hands. He could put some pressure on that 90-volt wall if he wants to, and he even has the read of Palu coming up.
Oh, Palu!
Shots do not connect. Palu is there looking for that kill. Inside of 90, Souls in a bit of a pinch. Lagonis looks for the swing, and Cameraman in a 1-on-4 cannot close it out. Resets, finding the final kill, and Liquid clears out another round.
That man on your screens right there, Palu. What a player. 7-1. in just 4 rounds so far, always having an impact. And of course, it's Palu and Nesk leading the way for Team Liquid, 2 of the best players of all time. I'm trying to think, what would that list be, that top 5 list?
A top 5 list?
The top 5 greatest players in Rainbow Six history.
I have no idea what that top 5 list is. There are so many greats, especially at the...
I mean, Nesk and Palu are in the top 5.
They are definitely
easily
within the top 5 for sure. And Liquid, this is only the beginning though, Deb. The beginning of what is going to be a very long stint. Remember, this is a best of 3 series, and this is Villa. Liquid, I love their Villa. I think the way that they've been playing out these strategies has to be really masterful, but it's about translating it throughout the rest of the series as well. Not only do you have to do this, they have to go onto the attacking half, find success there as well, and then clean up another map. So there's still a long way to go for this roster.
But for FaZe, the pressure really is on them, isn't it? Because this is their map pick. They're down on their attacking side. Now, you can't be too upset about losing a few attacks here, but for me, it's the nature of how these rounds have gone, isn't it? Team Liquid have seemed in control almost the entire time. The one round that FaZe won was very tight, and so we need to see them spring into action, change something else. We are seeing a bit of a unique strategy here. We've got Amaru with the shotgun.
A little bit spicy. It's Cameraman. Of course, he can make his way in through the basement with that Amaru. This could be exciting. Do Liquid have a read on what's going on here? A laundry minimalist take is what FaZe are going for.
Here comes the Montaigne as well, putting that pressure directly on the side as Cameraman's coming from the rear. He doesn't quite see the player in kitchen. SMG-11 in hand. He needs to find that pivotal anchor. Lagona's flashed out, but not killed as of yet. Bullet does find the opener. However, not without a trade. Liquid holding on as best they can. It's back and forth, but Cyber finally breaks through. He's found a double on the round, and it's up to Palu and Ask. That diffuser going down. Palu! He gets one more. Forced back on the reload as Astro had to get off that diffuser. So much time, Mandy. That's only been a minute so far, and yet the chaos continues. Palu looking to duel with Cameraman, who forces his way back into sight on the back of a flash. Ask playing safely, but it's Cameraman to finally hunt down Palu. It's all up to Ask now, and Astro is there. Astro and Cameraman, what a duo. They nail down that 2v2 and get FaZe a second round.
Astro, of course, the IGL of FaZe, will lead them into victory on that round. Minimalist take onto Laundry. They identified that that time Liquid were not doing their open angle setup onto Laundry, and so they were able to make their way in nice and easy with that Monty. Not only that, but they were aided by Cameraman, of course, who was making his way up those back pantry stairs and was able to hit the site from inside of kitchen. Really quick and early identifying of the strategy from Liquid, from FaZe. Liquid were sparse across the map looking for their extended roam. It was just such an excellent read on the strategy, and they're able to make quick work of the site.
Yeah, this is big now, Mandy, because FaZe have an opportunity to go 3-3 at the end of this half. I'm having a look now at some of the stats from these teams. So Villa has actually not been a good map for FaZe. The only time they've played it in Stage 3 was when they played against Team Liquid in the Copa Elite 6, and it was a 7-8. In that game, FaZe was heavily defensive favor. They won 57% of their defenses, but only 38% of their attacks. Team Liquid actually have a negative win rate on both sides. So I really feel like FaZe Clan, I mean, to be fair, having such a strong defense on this map means that perhaps they'll be happy with 2 or 3 rounds on this attacking side.
I'm just going to quickly touch on the defense that's going on inside of Master, inside of Closet as well, just shown to us. This is very characteristic of Liquid. They're playing this open rotation hole inside of the triple wall, but what that means is they need castle barricades to block off any lines of sight from the Master bedroom window. So FaZe, are they going to direct attack this, or are they actually going to look for the roam clear? Now, we've seen FaZe try once already to direct attack it, and they were caught in the crossfire in that top floor. They'll have to change their approach a little bit if they want to find some better success.
Starting to mount some pressure, but Resets has allowed a lot of mobility thanks to this castle barricade and the Azami Kiba barrier. Palu and Cyber, though, are just around the corner from each other. Cyber, stationary. Oh, but Palu somehow hears him. Good ears on him, but it's not enough as Cyber gets the better of him. Of course, though, Lagonis is there on for the flank with the secondary shotty. He's so switched on, so in sync, and as we say that, it's a rush from Souls, going straight into sight to find one, traded back. It's pure chaos from both of these teams as Resets continues to hold down the line. It's all up to Astro, and it looks like FaZe might not get that even half that they were searching for. Rounding the corner now, does get one. Almost had a second one there as well. He does have the sight, but does he have the ability to plant?
This is winnable for Astro. Even though he's on low HP, the two remaining defenders of Liquid are a little bit isolated, and he's got the diffuser in his hand as well. Just trying to get it down now, baiting out what the rest of the Liquid defenders are going to do. One of them's just rotated over into that trophy room, and will collect the kill. That's Ask. There we go. Liquid with another round.
Yeah, huge half there for Liquid, and so well played by Ask and Lagonis not to rush and allow Astro the opportunity to play that bait game. No, they played it perfectly. And as a result, Team Liquid are up 4-2, moving into their attack.
Just want to quickly touch on the team dynamic of Team Liquid once Lagonis has joined this roster. Because he has joined this roster, it means that Resets, who is the original support player, is no longer locked into that like site construction kind of role, right? Lagonis has picked a lot of that up. He picked up the castle. He's the one that's happy to play your smoke and your mute. And I think it's given a lot of flexibility to the rest of the roster and enabled them to do what they want. And particularly Resets, who's just such a smart secondary support player, both on the attack and the defense. If you put a Zami in his hands, that is danger waiting to happen, right? He's the one that's setting up that master hold. He knows it in and out. He's the architect of his own plays, and putting him on the operator is absolutely perfect.
There's a lot of architecture going on here as well. A kind of similar hold to what we've seen, but not quite exactly. This is one I know you're a big fan of, Mandy, with these windows, internal windows in Master being castled up, enabling a rotation hole between Stat and Master. I quite like this setup, especially in tandem with Astro's Azami.
Well, it's a direct mirror image of what Liquid were bringing when they played this site, and exactly this defense with the castle barricades and the Azami too. So FaZe about to get a taste of their own medicine per se if Liquid are able to mount an attack onto it.
Attempted a spawn peek here from Astro. Not bitten yet. Lagonis actually has info on this player prone. Bullet's going for an aggressive peek. I think Ask wants to go for this, but he's really worried about it. Bullet actually gets taken down early from Nesk, who's already lurking inside. And that does force the player on the stairs to fall back.
Nesk setting a really quick entry into the building. We haven't seen someone quite get this early map control as fast as he has been able to. Now down the bottom of main, just checking for anyone left inside of the lobby, but actually all of the FaZe players have relocated onto that top floor. Aggressive holds inside a study is making it quite challenging for the player on the balcony to entry, and Souls will hold on.
Oh, Nesk, does he have the timing? Good vertical nade. Cameraman should be aware of that. He did hear it. He has continued to remain mobile, making it difficult for those nades to have an impact. That said, now Nesk is coming up the main stairs. Does he check his corner? He absolutely won't. That's going to gift Cameraman a free kill. Palu now from outside study doesn't have his teammate working with him in tandem any longer.
Yeah, and he's caught in the crossfire between Souls and Cameraman as well. We saw those aggressive lines of sight. Ask might be able to clean up a kill inside of that 90 short if that player does get aggressive there. But like we said here it is, Souls and Cameraman doubling up against Palu, who's stuck now on this study window.
And Souls continues to contest, goes prone. Difficult fight now for Palu. There's a lot of angles to worry about, not the least of which is Cameraman here aggressive in study. So unwieldy now, isn't it, for Liquid as FaZe... Oh, here comes Astro coming for the flank. That default camera is still up, Ask, and yet he's just baited a kill off of it.
Oh, but he can't bait the second. Souls is there for the trade. It's a 3-on-3, so it's not completely losable, but there's only a minute left to go. Resets, though, has gotten full control inside of this master bedroom setup like we spoke about earlier.
It's been a messy round, hasn't it, Mandy? The action's going down everywhere. Now, what will the execute be from Liquid? Will we see a bit of structure from them?
If the action wasn't going down everywhere, it would not be a FaZe Liquid game, I'll tell you that much. Souls, he's about to be flashed out of his position, full white as the push starts to come in through bricks, but Resets, what can he do from his position? He's in the pivotal point, playing the defense setup against them, and Cyber is the only one still on the side.
Oh, here's a flank from Cameraman. Palu taken down as this push centered around the Astro stairs starts to fall apart. Resets on for the entry now, checking these corners. But it looks like FaZe Clan are playing this so smart. They've got these bulletproof cameras for information, and Liquid aren't going to be able to get a plant here. There's absolutely no way. Cameraman, oh, he is taken down inside of Master, but I don't think this 2v2 will work. The plant is going down. The cover is not good enough, and Soul's good for 2. FaZe Clan start their half with a strong defense.
Fantastic discipline from FaZe Clan. As soon as a 3-on-3 situation was there, they knew that they had given away Master Control and therefore Astro Control to go with it. They said, chill, we have the info, we'll play the retake, right? And that's exactly what they did off the back of Cameraman going for that flank at the bottom of Astro's stairs. It takes a team like FaZe with that leadership and that manpower from an IGL like Astro to be able to make a call and play a disciplined game, especially against Liquid, who are so meticulous in their pushes. Is very dangerous if you want to face them head on. So playing that more passive is exactly the right call to make.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
That lead that Liquid managed to achieve on their first half is starting to slip away. FaZe Clan, you can't count them out at any point. They're right on this comeback now that they're on their far more favored side. Mandy, a lot of the matches that these teams have played against each other in recent history have been overtimes. If I go back, there have been some convincing Liquid wins, but I've got an 8-7 on Villa, which Team Liquid just won, an 8-7 on Border, which Team Liquid just won, and an 8-7 on Theme Park, which Team Liquid just won. So these teams are used to very tight games, but it seems to always be Liquid who ends up on top at the end of them.
I'm going to theory craft this map a little bit. I personally believe that the current meta really leans into the way that FaZe play. I think it really leans into their playstyle. But because this is Villa and this is a map where you need to take one half of the map and then rotate over, take the other half of the map, that there's just a lot of things that you need to achieve. Liquid are really good on this map. It's because they play that slightly more structured and just slightly more methodical playstyle that I think it's allowed them to capitalize on the architecture of the map a little bit better than what FaZe have been able to achieve, because it's quite ambitious based on the size of the map, right? So I think Liquid on this attack off, I'm really curious as to how they're going to segment off parts of the map. It's going to be a very different approach to what FaZe brought.
Especially now we're back to Aviator games. This is quite a telling sight, right? Because it's so defender-sided. Teams love this bomb site on the defense. And so you have to get a bit creative on your attack, where you go for a more traditional, just a map clear. And if that's the case, you know, have you got any little spicy elements to do? Are you going to breach up 90? Where did I just hear that Selma go off?
Someone went off on the study wall, I believe. Here's Palu's looking for that grenade onto the power position inside of Vault. It's not going to connect because Astro's just made his way out of it and back in. He's running around. Playing that 1.5 times on that big line of sight can be dangerous. Here's Palu, once again, contesting the vertical line. He connects the shots onto Cyber.
Big pick, bit of Team Liquid support in the crowd, it seems, as well. It was all FaZe on the desk. They were showing us how to phase up. FaZe Clan have got to earn that cheer, though. Still in this 4v5, Liquid slow down. Bullet not continuing to be that aggressive on this main stairs position. He has that shield to play if he has the barbed wire as well. But it looks like the Capitao from Liquid is going to force him off.
Liquid are going for this very minimalist direct take onto study, onto main stairs, but this is where the push lies. It's in that main stairs push. The combination of the Capitao bolt to flush out Bullet will collect a Nesca kill, but not before being traded by Cameraman. A great C4 to connect onto the main stairs, and the man count still advantage Liquid.
That's a really good trade, though, isn't it? And who is that? In that little corner there, Cameraman, he's already found one kill in a prior round from sneaking in this position, but on the swing, he loses the fight, does a lot of damage, but not enough to secure the kill. Astro goes for the trade, finds the double, and that is exactly what FaZe have been looking for. They go from a 2v4 to a 2-on-2, and they are back in that advantage.
Time crunch as well, starting to hit Liquid. There's only 23 seconds left to go, and Astro's got a great position here inside of the Aviator room.
Ask and resets. They've got to step up. It's Ask sending it straight into sight now. No util to speak of. Where is that diffuser as well? They're going for these kills, but it's Astro once again. What a round he has had. And of course, it's an impact from Souls to close up that round. And we've evened up the scoreline here, Mandy. FaZe are coming back.
Yeah, fantastic hold from FaZe there on that main stairs push. It felt like Liquid, even though they went for a more direct take, Astro was in a really pivotal position inside of Vault because he wasn't taken down by that nade a little bit earlier. He was able to run rampant between those Vault lines of sight. He was able to play the mirror backwards. He even went for the rotation onto main stairs and collected that double there, for example, right? It just felt like the defense from FaZe was really fluid, and Liquid, unfortunately, losing out some of those fights on the main stairs meant that they couldn't convert the push.
Well, we're going downstairs now. We're seeing a bit of a operator shuffle. We're seeing that Valkyrie come in. We hadn't seen that from FaZe so far, I don't believe. It was Team Liquid that used it to... I mean, it's hard to see exactly how much information you're getting on those Valkyrie cameras without spectating them, but we saw Palu pop off with that, and we saw a huge double C4. I think in tandem with 2 other C4s between Cyber and Astro, and those Capcan traps and just general roaming ability, especially from players like Bullet and Souls, I'm pretty optimistic here for FaZe on their defense.
We'll have to see if Liquid actually lean into doing that, because if they go for the map sweep, right, maybe those C4s are not going to be quite as impactful if they don't go for that master control nice and early on. We'll see what they're able to achieve here. Ask as well, I just want to point out, has got the Twitch in his hand, and it is Valkyrie, and if he can spot some of those in the hallway, that would be really great for Liquid.
Don't see a lot of Legion these days, but good passive info as well, slowing down those attackers. And it may be a bit of a time sink kind of plan from FaZe Clan, looking to slow down this attack. However, this Thatcher makes things a hell of a lot easier and a lot quicker. As you can see, here comes a nice and early breach on this pantry wall. Looks like Astro even forfeits his C4 to try and deny the Selma. Not before it opens a line of sight, though.
Nice early pressure from Liquid, but what is the next step in their push? It seems like top floor control will be the way. Now, we pointed out the C4s a little bit earlier. 2 of them already have been expended, so they only have to worry about the 1 in the hands of Cameraman. I imagine that they've also droned out this top floor. Droning for the Valkyrie cameras is going to be very important too, to make sure that their attack stays hidden, and when they decide to go for the execute, they can do it with an element of surprise.
Yeah, Ask only does have this 1 Twitch drone left, though. And I expect he'll be looking for Capcan traps, Valkyrie cameras. The Electroclaw is probably not as much of a priority because we do have this Thatcher. But particularly if you can find those Capcan traps and Valkyrie cameras, Ask very aggressive here. All the way up in Laundry, just 2 steps away from that site.
Yeah, having that double reinforcement on the laundry wall has given Ask quite a lot of real estate here to prod his way into the site. Wow. Able to connect the shots onto Astro. Another player rounding the corner. That's the Valkyrie. Oh. He's taken down as well. A double for Ask.
Yeah, and a huge opening from Liquid. Cyber now feeling like he's got to make a play, flank up the pantry stairs. There's a player outside his window on drone. He wouldn't be aware. He might hear if they do get off drone. Liquid, they're not just jumping on this opportunity. They know they have a man advantage. They know they're favored, and they're playing it slow.
Here we go. This is Souls on for the retake now through that top floor as the vertical game comes through. There is only 36 seconds though, remember, Devon. FaZe are still sitting in some pretty comfortable power positions. We've got Bullet here, who's inside of Memo, getting ready for the push onto Laundry.
I mean, where is this push going to be from, Liquid? The longer you wait, the more FaZe Clan will have a chance to clutch it out in those dire moments. Souls has gone for this retake upstairs. He sees 1 player, but Ask has found another kill this round. Palu to take down Souls above. It's all on Bullet, who's also on for this flank. But hang on a second, can he deny the plant? The diffuser is on the ground. I can't believe it, Mandy. That is over. FaZe Clan in the 2 versus 5. Clutch up on time.
What a great call from Souls to go back onto that top floor with Bullet to play that retake. That was the mission critical thing they needed to deny the push that Liquid were going to go for. They needed that vertical control that had been open in advance from that sledge. They just waited till the time was primed to go for it, right? If you kill a sledge too early, you're not going to have your vertical, right? And not only that, but it gives chance for Liquid to come back up and try and retake that top floor, right? So they play it disciplined. That's what we love about FaZe. They are such a disciplined roster. They fully capitalize on timings and the beats of the round. They are so good at getting a read onto that and going for that top floor retake in the perfect time where the chaos of the execute was pulling apart Liquid was perfect from them.
Now Team Liquid have been forced to take their tactical time out here. They're really feeling under a lot of stress. Tension in the server as FaZe Clan have just won 3 rounds of defense in a row. We know statistically defense is by far their favored side. But Team Liquid will now be feeling that pressure to win, I mean, at minimum 2 rounds on this attacking side. But that will only guarantee overtime, not an outright win.
I think the problem with what Liquid are currently doing is that they're telegraphing their push very early on. Liquid are not quite like FaZe, where they like to go for their probe around the map and keep the defense guessing. Liquid commit to an idea and they go for it. The problem with doing that against FaZe is that FaZe have a great read on the beats and the timings in the rounds. And even though it seems like FaZe don't contest Liquid really early on in the push, they just simply wait for the right timing to disrupt a point in the push that is mission critical. In that last round, it was the execute. Even in the trophy statuary round, for example, FaZe didn't contest the execute, they only played for the retake. It's about finding the timing and making sure all 5 players are on the board. And when you have a team like Team Liquid who are telegraphing their push so early, it gives FaZe a lot of time to do that problem solving and figure out exactly when they're going to make that call.
And it's definitely easier to make those decisions on your rotations when you've got more information. We saw that Valkyrie last round, and while we didn't see exactly where that information was coming from, I've no doubt it was helpful. And I think that's what Team Liquid have identified. They want to start countering that Valkyrie a little bit better. So we've got the IQ from resets. It was an attacker repick, in fact. Hunting down, starving that information away from FaZe will make it a lot easier for Team Liquid to dictate the round.
A bomb has been located.
Liquid looking for a sweep across the map, it seems like. Ask is now getting on that 90 repel cutoff. Actually, not quite a full sweep across the map. They are playing a slightly more disconnected attacker. We've already got early pressure onto these Keeper Barricade and Azami, the Keeper Barricade and Castle Barricade setup going on inside of Master. That's resets working it. Lagonis working it on his own while the map sweep happens from Ask.
What is this? Okay, good position. I like this from Ask. He's actually opened up a big line of sight that looks all the way into Aviator, or rather Games, and can cut off some rotations. FaZe still holding on to this roam. This could be quite difficult to achieve a lot as they're feeling that pressure. There's a lot of openings. Hang on a second. Nesk has just waltzed onto the bomb site.
We can see some of the outlines from FaZe. Pretty much all of them, except for Astro.
Oh no!
There we go. Him on his own. The remaining 4 players of FaZe, I think, have all convened over on this study side of the map instead. That's Cyber helping out some of these teammates on the roam. And only now they're starting to collect their way back into the site. Ness, he was almost able to be the thorn in the side for the defense, but Astro's just too good.
That is such a shame for Nesk. He had a huge opportunity to force the rotations of the roamers back to site, to take down some of these anchors, and yet he fumbled it. Uncharacteristic of him. And FaZe are actually retaining a lot of their map control now. They've put some players on site, but hang on a second. Here's Lagonis. He's also made his way in with resets to support. FaZe Clan very much offside, but will they be able to deny this plan? Resets has found Cameraman and Lagonis to get one as well. FaZe have to retake, but it's looking sketchy. Cyber, does he have information to enable this C4? It's back and forth. FaZe, with just 2 players left, on for this retake as time ticks away. How do Liquid play it?
Souls, he's creeping his way in through this trophy side of the building. Not able to find a single Liquid player in his line of sight. Resets will take down Cyber, and now 1-on-3 for Souls if he wants to make this retake work.
Difficult crossfire to Jewel, and he's not going to be able to get a reset to secure that kill. 3 players alive at the end of the round for Liquid, and a great first attack round win from them.
Just want to point out the change in play style from Liquid off the back of that tactical timeout. I think they realized, they might have heard me in the comms, hey, saying that they were telegraphing their push. Now, what they were able to do there was they just left their hard breach on Master side, saying this is the contingency plan, right? If the roam clear doesn't work, if we don't find the picks on the cutoffs, we all rotate back over to Master a bit later, and we go for the execute there. That roam clear, they didn't actually commit to it. They only set up Ask on that long line of sight, trying to cut them off. And once they realized that FaZe have started to rotate all their players onto that south side, they immediately all pivoted over and hit the bomb site. It was some great timing. Nest was the one to start it off, but it was actually Lagonis that jumped in, the new hard breach player of this roster, to call that push on the other side and make the execute work.
Mandy, we're at break point. This is my favorite part of any game. When you're at 5-5, one team is about to find match point. And when that happens, well, it's either a regulation win or the other team forces overtime. As soon as I saw that we were going to Villa, as soon as you know it's Team Liquid versus FaZe, you start to feel like it's going to be overtime. Statistically, these guys go to overtime more often than not. In Stage 3, they had 3 8-7 matches, and Team Liquid always edged out on top. Now, FaZe started on attack because Team Liquid got the choice of starting defense first. In overtime, FaZe have chosen to start on the defense, which means that if we do go into overtime, they will have the advantage.
Scary stuff. They do not want to let this one slip by, our Team Liquid. Starting to amount their attack onto the bomb slot. We've got a 2-3 split, I believe it is, true on the other side of the map. That's Nesk and one of his teammates. Just making his way in through living as they start to rendezvous around these main stairs. This is the choke point that is often so struggled with on this direct attack. They need to clear it with a cacophony of utility, flashbangs, grenades, whatever they need to flush out that player on the main stairs. I believe that's Bullet with that FMG9 in hand, reigning supreme so far in the spot.
Yeah, it's a cheeky spot, especially with that support from Cameraman. There's vertical lines of sight he can play. E1D rings out. It's unclear to me exactly the play for Liquid. Getting a little bit of a vertical angle, enabling some nades, but it might not find a player. You can see Astro and the rest of FaZe very mobile. And they're standing on top of items as well, like Cameraman here. He takes quite actually a lot of damage from that grenade, but he survives because he was jumping up onto that pool table.
Well, look, what Liquid need to do here is make it comfortable as possible. It's never going to be comfortable for that main stage push to come through. And that means trying to take down as many anchors as you can, flush them out of vertical lines, just put the pressure on them to be running around so that when that main stage push comes through, it can be chaotic, but a little bit more attack in favor in the timing, right? And that's exactly what Nesk and Palo are doing, doubling down with those vertical nades. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked out for them, and it's going to be a bit of a bloody push up the main stairs.
If Ask is able to make this lurk work, it could be big though. He's telegraphed his push with that smoke, as it has absorbed a lot of Souls' attention. Cyber here on the red stairs, player on the other side, it's Nesk. He fell early last round, he fumbled the ball, and he might do so again. Cyber takes him down, and Souls can double fake out Ask. Palu to make his way up the stairs, finally trading back Nesk. And Resets has actually managed to sneak inside, but unfortunately for him, it just doesn't last very long at all. Mandy, it looks like FaZe Clan are reigning supreme on their defense, and that is a huge retake from Bullet to go into study. It's Palu versus the world, a 1v4 to stave off match point. Team Liquid were up 4 rounds to 2, and now they're about to be at their brink. FaZe Clan find match point on the first map of this series.
Great hold from FaZe. Even though Liquid telegraphed their push by going for that study side and not taking any control on the other side, FaZe didn't halter. They didn't give up their 2 lurkers that were on the other side of the map. And so when Liquid inevitably went for that re-lurk, that retake over on the Astro side, that was Ask and the red stairs control happening, there was still FaZe players around, right? They called the bluff, essentially, right? They called the bluff perfectly. Even though Liquid never went for that main stairs push, FaZe were a step ahead of them in the mind games. And as a result, they clean up that final 2 or 3 kills because that just simply wasn't enough time for Liquid to make that push work.
And FaZe Clan now can go back to kitchen dining, which is unlocked, and they won it. The other time that they played it was, in fact, this was the 2 versus 5 round, Mandy. That huge play from, I believe it was Cyber who managed to clutch it. Does look like a couple of off-raters have been shuffled around on this this defensive side, but pressure's on for Liquid, you know. If they have a minute to go yet with a huge numbers advantage, they can't afford to sit around. They have to commit early, otherwise they'll let FaZe get back in.
Attackers are heading out to the
So Ask has just re-picked off the Twitch and onto the Jackal. Now, if you want to make full use of the Jackal, you do want to be inside of the building, lo and behold. And so I only imagine that Liquid, like you pointed out, need to commit to something. And having the Jackal in your hands is going to aid and expedite that roam clear process. But hang on a moment, this is Cyber. Being a bit cheeky inside of the closet, taking on drone from outside the window.
I like the idea there. We've seen, I mean, hey, you're up 6-5. You're going against your rivals that you've struggled to take down even at a domestic level for such a long time. Just go for it. Don't hold back. Go for those spawn peaks. Exude confidence and try and manifest it. Astro does get an early pick. Ask, caught in a goo mine, is going to have to pull that out. Cameraman actually might even go for a C4 here. And FaZe Clan are in the advantage here on match point.
Ask as well has just given away his basement control that he originally held onto. Liquid are starting to surround this dining and kitchen bomb site like vultures. What is their next step in the push going to be? Are they going to rotate players over and start looking for a pinch from the other side? Are they going to look to work the vertical? There's a lot of questions still to be asked for Liquid, but it's Algonis to kick things off from a kill onto Cyber.
And FaZe Clan falling back now. Both of those roamers upstairs going down onto the ground floor, seceding this control to Liquid, but still with the ability to play that vertical game. Still a C4 on Cameraman.
I think that C4 as well is in the perfect spot. He's the one that's babysitting the site just inside of that Tetris position. Ask in the meantime is going for a bit of his own lurk over on the other side of the map, and Liquid are starting to dwindle away on time. It's Palu that's the sledge in hand that will want to make use of that vertical pressure if they're able to collect it already. Nesk is all the way inside of Trophy, and Palu can start to make use of the vertical, flush out the positions. There's really only 2 anchors on site that he has to flush out here.
But this is really where it went wrong for Liquid last time, Mandy. They have to make sure not to dilly-dally for too long. FaZe Clan have some strong positions, and they're still roaming, but Palu does find one on the vert. Astra to fall back to site, and Sol's about to find a duel here with Ask, who baits it out with a few shoulder peeks. Who is going to be able to find this as Sol's enables a retreat? FaZe Clan are falling like flies. It's a 4v2 now for Liquid, and beautifully played by them, as Ask allows his teammate to come over and support. It's up to Cameraman in the 1v3 retake with that diffuser on the ground. No C4 to speak of. A player in the corner of the room. He does take that down to clutch it for the map. It's Cameraman sneaking his way up the Astro stairs. Is Nesk aware of this? Is Cameraman gonna get the better of him? He will. 1 versus 1. Ask to hold on and push overtime as Cameraman could make this dream a reality. He has to stick it. He has no choice now. 11 seconds on the timer, but it takes 7 to lock on here, and it doesn't matter because Liquid will push us into overtime.
And this series is absolutely deserving of it. Overtime, 2 Brazilian behemoths going at it in the server. What an incredible attack that was onto Liquid as well, right? They went for that top floor control once they realized that the roamers had seceded those positions. They made full use of the vertical. That was Palu on the sledge. And FaZe just unfortunate on the timing for that retake. They couldn't make it work as all their players were dropping like flies. Not just from that, but as well as the lurk from Ask, who was just so successful, doubling up with Nesk to be able to take down Souls in his position in Library. It just felt like all of the dots connected for Liquid through that mid to late round. They knew exactly what they were going for, and FaZe didn't have that connection to fight back with the right timing.
Well, FaZe now in overtime will start on the favored side of defense as they've taken their tactical timeout to discuss as a team their best chance of locking this game out for the first time in such a long time to beat Team Liquid in an overtime.
This is exciting times for both these teams. Here it is on Villa. We have no idea how this one is going to end, but like you commented on, FaZe are on the defending half. We've seen a relatively defender-sided Villa so far, and unless Liquid change, they have actually been changing their play style quite a bit. Unless FaZe get in a read into the way that the new Liquid has been playing, I feel like Liquid have a pretty good grip on this game so far. That they're mounting some really impressive attacks that FaZe are starting to fall off the pace from.
Despite this game being defender-sided 8 rounds to only 4 from the attack, I actually feel like Team Liquid have the upper hand in this overtime, Mandy. And that's because while FaZe Clan started by successfully defending every single bomb site, Team Liquid went on to win both a stat trophy attack and a kitchen dining attack. So in my mind, Team Liquid might have the advantage here. And look at this as well. FaZe Clan opting to go to stat trophy instead of Aviator Games, where Liquid has already beaten them once this game.
And that's exactly it, right? So just to reiterate, it is the change in play style that Liquid have gone for in the last 2 or 3 rounds in a row that have successfully mounted them some attacks. Here we go, Liquid starting out on the roam clear. The bomb site is trophy and statuary, and Paolo is starting to put pressure on the study side of the map. Meanwhile, Ask, of course, the lurker player for Team Liquid, starting to put the pressure on the site, making sure that FaZe have got something to worry about on that northern side of the building.
It's been neck and neck between these teams. Opening kills going back and forth. Some huge performances. Palu, of course, right at the top of that scoreboard. 13 kills. But it's been fairly even across the board. So many players have had their moments to shine.
Bomb located by attackers.
There it is, Bullet. He's the one on the main stairs and has a drone of his own. Just going to check to see if there is actually an entry coming through the ground floor, and he does spot out the Nook. That's Nesk. Now we're on board with him, creeping his way in through piano, but has been spotted out.
Yeah, that's a huge play from the Mozzie drone of Bullet, as he is prone, and he has been droned out. This is Palu's actually droned out Bullet, while Bullet has droned out Nesk, and Souls is the first one to capitalize on the information. Is Bullet still vulnerable here?
I was going to say that. Does Bullet know that they know where he is? That is the danger. Do they know that he's got the info currently on the main stairs? It seems like he will fall back to the safety of his teammates. Palu just a few seconds too late to catch him out.
It's a stat trophy attack though, and Liquid have rotated to this position. Palu to even up the man count. As Liquid are primed and ready. Selma's detonating. And that's a crouchable hole on the stat wall. Astro attempts to defend.
And this is the beauty of the Liquid attack. Now they've pivoted all their players onto that north side where Ask was putting pressure early. Now the rest of the teammates will be. And FaZe are still loitering around on the other side of the map, trying to deal with Palu. What a thorn in their side.
It's an even 4v4. Palu does catch out Bullet, and Liquid collapse. The attack is right on and ready. Cameraman now in a 1 versus 4 to try and save match point for FaZe, but Team Liquid, they have made this comeback happen, and they now have match point.
Ask has been such an instrumental player in the success of Team Liquid. He's the IGL of this roster. He's also the playmaker of this roster. While the rest of Team Liquid are setting up that roam clear, while they're playing the attrition game with the intel, the double drones that came out, the scary mini game that was going on there, in the background, there was Ask. And he was setting up that late game the entire time, making sure that Master was clear, that Astro Stairs was clear, that Dining was clear, so that when the rest of his teammates came around, he just goes, you guys just get in the building. It's all safe now. We're going to go for the execute. You've all been keeping them distracted on the other side of the map. And that is the strength in having the IGL on that lurker position. He's just so incredible at it, and aided by the Buck as well. Perfect operator setup rotations and anything you might need. It must be very comfortable to attack on that team.
Yeah, and Team Liquid must be very comfortable in general right now. You know why? FaZe Clan decided to take a risk last round and go to a bomb site that they had already lost on. This round, Team Liquid's actually making the opposite decision. Aviator Games has not been lost by any defensive team this game. Liquid won it twice, FaZe won it twice. And Liquid are going back there. Now, I'm not very good at maths, but the stats don't lie. 100% win rate for the defense on this side. And Team Liquid having match point as well. There is no other way to cut it. FaZe have the pressure right now. They're the ones who had match point within their grasp, and they're the ones now that have to do the improbable.
FaZe starting to mount their attack onto the building, starting out on this master side roam clear. It's Sol's the one on the roof now, just going to drone out what he can see inside of that statuary room. Meanwhile, we've got Astro playing the SAM cams on the cutoffs as well. Cameraman, though, he's putting early pressure on this study control. The Kiva barriers to go down, getting a lot of value, clearing out those Malusi, all the push that can come out into study later. But it's Astro with the lurk into the mud room that'll take down Palu.
Yeah, and what a player to take down. If there's anybody in the server to eliminate, it's the one on 15 kills. Here's a big potential nade from Cyber. Oh, and it goes through the floor to take down resets. I thought standing on top of the maps table would protect him, but Cyber threads that needle. Ask now to fight back. Nest to put his name in that ticker as well. And it's a 3 versus 3 with only 1 minute and 15 seconds into the round.
FaZe has done a lot of work so far, though, with this roam clear. Cameraman is already setting up the late round. He's cleared out so much utility and study, and main stairs control is in the hands of Cyber. FaZe, they have full control here on this southern side of the map as the rest of Liquid reconvene over towards the north.
Souls is so close to having a free kill. Oh, no, never mind. Nesk is actually not in Skull. He is protected by a hard wall. Ask still holding on to 90. And the question for me is, where will FaZe execute? We've got Cyber in study in top main stairs.
Not only that, but Cameraman as well is the one with the diffuser in hand just outside of this study door. What he's worried about is those long lines of sight from inside of Vault. He'll need the aid of his teammates to be able to make this entry happen and get the bomb down inside of Aviator.
Cyber's going for a flank below though. No nades remaining. Liquid just holding onto their positions. They know they don't need to make a play. They're biding their time, shooting drones, repositioning.
They're being so disciplined about this as well. Souls and Cyber to double up. Oh no! But Ask is too good. He's good for one and not good for the second. Souls there for the trade.
But low HP now on the Lion. Cameraman with that diffuser in pocket. But Nesk is just on the other side of this doorway. They've got to land this. Nesk gets the down. And FaZe must rely on Cameraman. He gets the first kill. But it's the rookie for Liquid that must step up. Lagonis gets the kill. And the map along with it. Team Liquid yet again prove to be the masters of overtime. They take down FaZe 8-6 on FaZe's own map pick.
What a great play from Team Liquid in that final round, playing it so disciplined, giving away the control that FaZe were comfortable with, but giving them a false sense of security. Liquid were there, the three of them off the site, ready to reconvene back on, ready to go for that retake once FaZe went for that execute, and that was perfectly played from them. The teamwork, especially from Nesk inside of Vault in tandem with Lagonis, perfect.
What a performance from Team Liquid. It has been a hot minute since we've seen them here at a major stage, but they've demonstrated that they deserve their spot. They tend to be the kings of Brazil. When it comes to FaZe, they always have their number, and it looks like it's no different here in Sweden.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. They've done an incredible job here on map 1, Villa. It was so close. I just can't wait for map 2. It's going to be an onslaught.
Well, stick around because Team Liquid are now one map away from the semi-finals.
I'm Nicholas Mortensen, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Who would have thunk it? That comeback looked fantastic. Team Liquid brought it through, took it to overtime, and now they're getting ready for map number 2 as they took the win on Villa. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm Milos the Medic, your host. With me are Ann and Fresh. We're going to break it down for this first map of the series of Liquid versus FaZe. Now, let's just talk about this. Both teams were incredibly close through this series, and FaZe had the upper hand and slipped up at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was their map pick as well, and we thought it was a risky pick considering that in recent history, Liquid were able to beat FaZe 8-7 on this map. It's a risky pick to then pick that map that your opponent was so good on, and the first few rounds were a little bit confusing to me. It was a lot of pocket strats almost coming out from FaZe. They tried a lot of things which didn't really work out in the end. What I really liked seeing from Liquid, specifically on their attacks, the first few times, how much info they had. Sorry, they had a lot of information, they knew where the players were, constant yellow pings, a lot of drones out in the field as well. But then later on in the defensive half of FaZe, you saw that they were actually able to manage with that a little bit better.
I think coming back to that game plan of picking into Villa, for me, it was a game plan of, we know we'll be attacking first. We haven't really, solved our issues that we had on attack, so let's just try and cheese it, because the worst you're going to get from cheesing it, I think when you kind of cheese a strategy, or you do a rush strategy, or, the Yamaru in the 90 window, whatever it is, you're basically saying, I just want this round to be a 50-50. So a 4-2 is kind of what they were expecting. They really wanted to shore up their defenses, and they looked so dominant. Them first 3 defenses, they got 3 very dominant defenses, and then Lagonis and Liquid basically read into that win condition and was able to adapt better, got it to overtime, and once it was in overtime, there only felt like there was going to be one winner, because I think Liquid were just the smarter team over the course of those late rounds.
There were a few things that they maybe could have done better. For example, there were some times where they didn't have information on cameraman lurking in the corner. There were times where they decided to go for a plant right underneath a hole, which was above, and there was a plant that was perfectly holed by FaZe. But overall, good performances from the Liquid players as well. We have to mention the players that had really good performances. It was Ask not having the greatest of games to begin with, but he really came back later on. Paulo had a really good example for a good performance, for example, as well. And just also the teamwork and the refrag potential that we saw. There were refrags happening in the basement while the team was defending the upstairs. So,
wasting time for the attackers, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good old 1-2.
Good old 1-2. I was just thinking, sorry, I've just been caught a little bit off guard, because the first time that we spoke about Palu on this desk was in the post-match of map 1. We were talking about Lagonis, we were talking about Ask and Resets. We've not even mentioned Nesk and Palu, and
I mentioned it.
You did.
That's true.
You did.
But that's what we said, is Anne specifically stated, Lagonis, every time he gets on a team, makes it 10 times better. And we're like, how is this going to happen with Nesk and Paulo on the team? Turns out, if you put 3 really good players that can work well together with 2 great supports, Jack, that it can really turn out well for you. In a
Incredible. And the thing is he must organize that team so well. Just from a straight outside perspective, how they got better in the late round was what was impressive me. Not the late round, the late rounds of the game. They just got better and better, more composed in that kind of 9-12, 13-14 round.
All right, moving on then to map number 2 in this series. Now, of course, Liquid took map 1, but now we'll go to Clubhouse. Now, Liquid are starting off on the defense. FaZe Clan are on the attacking side. How do we feel this going in?
It's been Liquid's Instaban for a very long time. They've not played it at all in the past 4 months. And this kind of makes me think about how things went during that first map. Oh, they haven't played the map. It seems like they've been hiding it. And then it didn't turn out that well for them. It can really go both ways for Liquid.
It logically makes sense, though, because if you look at the way Clubhouse was going and the way Clubhouse was being played for Liquid through stage 1 and 2, they were having real process issues with attacking it. Because that's what Clubhouse is, right? It's a process-driven map of doing one. I don't know how many times I've heard casters and analysts say, you do 1, you do 2, you do 3, you'll win on Clubhouse. Well, Liquid weren't doing that. But what's changed since stage 2, they've brought in Lagonis, that chief organizer that they've got. So even though they've pocketed it away, they've not played it, I still think that they will have redesigned their processes on that map and be very strong on it.
FaZe do have a win versus Mirage and a loss versus Wolves on this map during the group stage, so there is some information on how that team plays. They couldn't really capitalize on the entries that they got in that game, so that is something that I'm going to specifically look for if they can clear that up in this map, though.
Map 3, yes, no, that's all I'm asking.
With the way Liquid's been playing, I don't know. It's their map pick, which would make them feel comfortable. If it really turns out that they've been hiding this for months and they have prepped it, with their players and new players and everything, then it could be a very quick 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to say FaZe win it for the purpose of competition, but Anne's absolutely right. FaZe will not have been able to rewrite this map since they played it, what, 2-3 days ago? Liquid have had a whole stage working on it.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Liquid versus FaZe continues on Clubhouse Map 2. Can Liquid make it 2-0, or will FaZe take it to Map 3? We'll find out with our casters after this short break.
So to design Solis' device, we were looking for something that needed two hands to be operated and something that wasn't going to take too much of the vision space. So we thought about augmented reality. We were very excited with all the modern visual that it could add to the game. Solis' kit is made of three main parts: the helmet, the bracelet, and the gloves. So when the helmet turns on, the screen switches from transparent to glowy yellow, and the HUD elements start to show for the user. The second part is the bracelet. It's used as a placement tag for the AR interface. And this AR interface is shaped as a 3D ring. It's used by Solis to interact with the gadget. The last part is the scan, and the scan is the middle part of this AR interface. And when the scan is performed, you have this pulse of 3D lines that starts and fades in the distance, giving the position of every electronic device on its way.
Usually with loadouts, we try to give flexibility for players. We give the P90 as a primary because it's a super good SMG, super interesting, and another SMG as a sidearm because it's also a really good weapon. We're also giving Solis a shotgun because being able to create, rotate, and help on site and help reshape the map is also very, very interesting for an operator like this. And with the sidearm, again, that is SMG, it allows you to bring the shotgun and still have an SMG at hand if you really need to defend yourself.
So this is actually one of the first maps we've done that actually incorporates the lore. It's Night Haven, it's a research facility. So the basement only has one bomb site. It's optimized for navigation and flow. And we went for a more optimized design, so it's quite compact in its shape, but there's a lot of entryways from the exterior helipad, and there's lots of ingress and egress that you can actually do to the sites. There's a little Easter egg down there, hiding away, not so subtly. So first floor has 2 bomb sites. It's very clean, there's a cafeteria, there's lots of small rooms, big rooms, there's a warehouse there with some exterior walls. The warehouse is super interesting when you get close to it because it's an open area with a catwalk above it. On one of the roofs, there's a risk versus reward run out to reinforce a hatch. Otherwise, it opens up some pretty interesting lines of sight, but you need to, wait for the prep phase to finish, get out, and, so break the barrier, get out and go do it. The map should be going into all of the playlists that we normally release upon. It's not the same as any other map. There's unique things in this one, and the map looks superb. The artists, the lighters, everyone did such a great job on this map. I'm looking forward to the reception.
Welcome back. It is time for map 2 here. Team Liquid have taken FaZe's map, and now we move on to Clubhouse to see if FaZe is capable of pushing us to a map 3.
This is a really exciting one. That last map was tantalizing. It was so close every single round, back and forth. In the end, Liquid came out on top on the back of a pretty drastic playstyle change. They are able to mount some seriously impressive attacks onto FaZe, and yeah, now they look primed and ready for this, right? FaZe, they were up so many rounds. They were doing super well. It felt like they had a great grip on the game, and now it's lost. Liquid definitely have the momentum going into map 2.
There's no doubt about it, and I can't help but think that this trend may continue. As we said before, FaZe Clan has not defeated Team Liquid in a best-of-3 series since 2020. For over 2 years, Team Liquid have shown that they are the team to beat in this matchup. FaZe Clan, though, for a chance at returning to the major championship, they will need to push map 3. They will need to go big in Sweden, just like they did a year ago, as we get into Clubhouse.
No Maverick this game. Okay. Is there also going to be no Thatcher? That is my next question. No Ying. Okay, so Thatcher is still left in for this one, right? That means that you have the mini games that need to be played on the wall, the breach and the anti-hard breach with the Thatcher trying to play the tricking game. You've also got mini EMPs to assist that. The moment that I say that, of course, Bandit does get banned out. So really the only anti-hard breach they need to worry about now is that KE tricking game, which is often a little bit more tricky for the defense, as well as the mute jammers, which can be pretty pesky for the attack. Oh, no way, and Cade's banned out too. Damn.
Wow, there's not going to be a lot of wall denial here. It's going to be just the mute, essentially. And mute, since they changed the radius of how that works, it's not quite as good. So perhaps you won't even need to run a Thatcher, Mandy.
Yeah, walls are going to be open. So that's why I anticipate Liquid are going to start us out on that defense in the basement, because playing the top floor bomb sites, like playing your CCTV, right, or playing your jacuzzi wall, those are going to get open pretty much straight away. There's not a whole lot that is going to protect that top floor, and so they're looking for something a little bit more bunkered down here in the ground to basement.
Now, Team Liquid, as we've said before, have not lost a best-of-3 to FaZe in over 2 years, but they also haven't played this map of Clubhouse at all in Stage 3, Mandy. This is Team Liquid's most banned map, and so it is quite literally a dark horse, pun intended. FaZe Clan, on the other hand, have played this map quite a few times, 3 in fact, and they've won it more than they've lost it, so it's not one that they're unfamiliar with. They did take down Mirage very convincingly 7-2 on this map earlier in the group stage at this event. However, fell to the Wolves 4-7 as well. So FaZe are not perfect here, and Team Liquid will likely be looking at that very recent form and starting to adapt to some of the strategies that FaZe have revealed earlier in the group stage.
I think this is a great approach immediately off the back from Liquid. You don't want to just sit in the site and play whatever utility you have there, because there's no KE to protect your hatches, there's no Bandit to protect your walls, and there's Thatcher on the board, all the hard breaches on the board. If you just sit on the site and wait, you're going to be choked out. So what they're looking for here is this super extended roam through all 3 floors of the map. They've already pre-opened the Moto hatch as their fall-off as well through bar, but FaZe are looking to hit the site early.
Oh my god, Bullet! He does not give a damn. He's walked all the way down into blue and has died. Ask easily takes him down, but there is a trade here from Cyber. And now Liquid are like, hang on a second. FaZe Clan have just taken control of the site away from us. However, Liquid have managed to maintain control of the man advantage. It's now a 3 versus 4 as Liquid are on for this retake. Cyber to confirm that diffuser. And at the drop of a hat, FaZe Clan have to hold on.
Souls is there for the cover, but not for long, as Reset is able to collect him. Nesk for a second onto Cyber. Astro now in the 1-on-4, turns it into the 1-on-3. With hatch control, can make it the 1-on-2. Dangerous now for Liquid. The retake is there. Resets can confirm it. 22 seconds left to defuse, and Liquid claim another round.
Wow. Gusto from FaZe has got to be appreciated in that round. They went quick, they were determined, they got into that site, they put that diffuser down, but Team Liquid are not to be fooled so easily. They maintained their composure, and on that retake, even in that 4v1 turned down to a 2v1, they didn't let up. They made sure that there was no clutch potential there from Astro, and they made sure to put him down. A good start here from Team Liquid, though a valiant first round from FaZe.
Nice retake from Liquid, very impressive from them. Whenever you play an extended roam like that, the worry is, what if they go for a rush? What if they do hit the bomb site? You need to have your contingency plan and your fall-off plan ready for that. And that was the genius in Ask's rotation, which came back down through Oil to take down the player in blue. That was the genius in Palu inside of Bar to immediately contest that kitchen hatch early, that type of thing, right? It's Liquid preemptively seeing that situation and having the right routing to retake the bomb site.
Now for Liquid, it looks like we will move over to Cash and CCTV with a bit of an extension reinforcing. Okay, this is strange. Thank you for pointing this out, Pietro. We actually don't have any reinforcements on the garage walls, and instead the reinforcements have gone out on the jacuzzi walls for the roam. This is a really strange one for me, Mandy. With that bandit and the Kaid band out, feels really hard to defend this bomb site in a traditional way. And so it seems like Liquid is actually quite significantly changing their strategy away from what you would usually see.
I think it's good because if FaZe want to go for a con-sided push, it forces them to use some hard breach on the jacuzzi wall as a point of entry. You kind of don't really want to be entering in through anywhere else. Logi hatch is kind of okay, but jumping in through gym, just generally being on that balcony can be pretty dangerous. So it's good that they're dedicating some of that reinforcements over onto the other side, but I won't want to read into it too hard. Souls is going to be able to get this exothermic charge on the wall nice and easy. Remember, there is no anti-hard breach aside from the mute, which is right in the center of that wall, but it can be countered pretty easily by Souls being on the rappel.
He actually hasn't successfully detonated that charge as of yet, but Liquid have started to lose a bit of map control. FaZe has made their into master. Lagonis holding on a cheeky position. Oh, here we go, Souls. He's actually kind of struggling to get this exothermic in a spot where it's not going to be exposed to that mute jammer. He does eventually do so, but I believe that will be a vault hole, not a sprintable one.
So it should be a sprintable one because he's done it not upside down, but when you put the exothermic charge on the wall facing up, it actually detonates the bottom part too, so even if you get it on the top of the wall above the mute jammer, it should still be a running hole. Bullet is going to come in from below with a grenade to try and connect it onto that shield just at the back of the green box. That's Palu on the other side. Should be afraid of his life. Bullet still with that nade in hand, does connect it onto the shield, but not onto Palu.
Yeah, very fortunate timing there from Palu. He moved away when the first nade came out, and that meant he survived the second nade, which was well placed for his position. FaZe kind of made good progress here, starting to whittle away at this defensive side. And it looks like the secondary hard breach from the Capitao will go out on this construction wall into Cash, as Bullets found the opener. And this looks so uncomfortable for Team Liquid. How are you meant to hold on to this bomb site? The only thing I can imagine is an impactful flank here from Resets on the Valkyrie. It's got to be, but he has been droned out multiple times. Shoots those drones, and that forces FaZe to slows down a little bit.
FaZe as well being stalled a little bit by those smoke canisters, preventing them from making the rush into that Cash side. Astro's going to go in deep and look for that plant. Not denied yet by any Liquid players.
Oh, and it looks like it will go down successfully as trades continue back and forth. It's a 3v3 now as Bullet makes his way up the stairs, but Nesk takes him down. A glorified 2v2 as Lagonis lies on the ground. But what are you doing, Astro? You've just given away a free kill and forced Cameraman now to post-plan. Surely this couldn't be yet another retake from Team Liquid. They've got time to work with. They now have all three of their players up as well. And beautiful Kiba barrier from Cameraman. He's now desperately going to try and hold on, but Ask is there to vault through the hole as Lagonis secures that diffuser. And Team Liquid are 2 for 2 on the retakes this game.
Once again, like you said, super impressive on the retakes are Liquid. That was such a claustrophobic defense. As soon as all those walls got open, they were forced out of their power positions inside a Cache. They could no longer play in server because the main breach was open. It just felt like Liquid completely let go of the bomb site. But it was really that flank that came up the main stairs that was the main disruptor of that attack. As soon as FaZe had to fight back for that logistics control, the attack was very disconnected. And as the execute came through, we saw Astro in a bit of an odd position. Unfortunate fight on the top of red stairs, and Liquid make good work of that flank and the red stairs re-control that they were able to gain and clean up the round.
I gotta admit, Mandy, I do not think that that Cache bomb site is very powerful when when okay, there's a couple of factors involved. One, the Azami, since she's been brought in, she can make that cache site a little bit more powerful, especially when the Thatcher or the Maverick is banned. But when you've got Bandit and Bandit and Kaid banned out, it's so much more difficult to defend that site. So I'm very surprised and impressed that Team Liquid was able to do such a good job of it. And the fact that they've done that now means that, I mean, they could even go a 5-1 half in this round without having to successfully defend cache again.
Liquid, though, are going to go over to this gym and bedroom bomb site. What are FaZe going to look for here? Because getting these walls open, not a problem, right? It's about setting up for the mid to late round that comes after that, because Liquid have been pretty disciplined on this retake. Like you said, has been their strength in this series so far. Paulo is looking for control inside of dirt, maybe looking for a little cheeky spawn peek, meleeing open that wall and denying the jacuzzi breach for a little bit later on. The first exothermic charge is going to go down on that construction wall, and that's cutting the defense in half. The roamers are now stuck on that east side of the building unless they rotate in through the ground floor.
It's the dream of a hard breacher, right? When you've got the Bandit and the Kaid ban, it's just so easy for Souls to open up just about anything he could possibly want. And there goes Jacuzzi as well.
Not bad from FaZe, but like I said, it's going to be about that mid to late round. We already know that they were going to be given this control. Liquid know that they are going to be given this control, and so that's why they're not retaking in through Con just yet. They don't want to be giving away their lives because these walls are going to stay open and they're going to cut the defense in half. They're just being very disciplined, holding on to the real estate that they have.
And Resets on the Azami is doing such a good job of patching up this site, making some powerful positions for him to play behind, which is especially important as those windows on the balcony come into power in tandem with that breach on the Jacuzzi side. Lagonis really worried. He knows that FaZe are not afraid of just moving at any moment. He does find the opener, Resets to try and support. It's actually Lagonis again for a double, a triple for Lagonis. Cameraman doesn't last very long at all, and Team Liquid have just swiftly swept 3 rounds of defense in a row.
Once again, Liquid finding great timing on the positions that they're retaking. They know that FaZe are going to swarm in through the breach, right? So Resets is, he could sit in gym if he wanted to, right? He could sit in bathroom if he wanted to, but he knows that he's Azami, and he knows that he has Lagonis at the top of main stairs inside of Logi. That could go for the retake in tandem with him when that comes through. And that's just such great teamwork on the side of the Liquid players to find the right timing as the chaos of the execute is happening. You don't normally have super clear comms if you're on the side of the attack, right? You're just going for it. Everyone's kind of screaming at each other, calling out what they're trying to do. And the defense was ready for that. And that's the strength in Liquid this entire series.
I'm getting a bit of deja vu from the first series, Mandy. Team Liquid started really strong, but to be honest, it wasn't even quite this strong. They went 3-1 up, but they were never 3-0. How much further can Team Liquid further this advantage? Really, at this point, Mandy, it just feels inevitable. FaZe Clan have not been able to stack up here today. They've been such a good team all year long, and last year as well, winning their first major here in Sweden, in Gävle. In Berlin, they were the runners-up. They were so fearless. They were within one single round of taking down Rogue and claiming a second championship at a major, which no team has ever done before. And yet here, they seem toothless, Mandy.
It just feels like the FaZe Clan formula of probing the entire map and seeing what mistakes you can capitalize just isn't working against Team Liquid because all of the players have been super disciplined, especially the roamers. We're going back to this basement bomb site. Liquid are going to do the full world tour. We've already got Resets holding on to those blue stairs, but there's again a change in philosophy from Liquid. They're not looking for that full 3-floored roam anymore. It's more site-centric.
But this clear has been quite effective, particularly thanks to that IQ. I quite like the way that Cyber has been able to find out those Valkyrie cameras. He's so vigilant with it as well. I see sometimes players will bring it out just for a moment, check, think, oh, okay, there's nothing there. They won't keep looking, but there's so much util. There's so much value in the util from those Valkyrie cameras that if they can be suppressed, it will aid FaZe significantly.
Okay, so what scares me about FaZe is that they have brought the Capitao, and I imagine that they are going to lean into some of those smoke and fire bolts for the execute, but we have Ask on the other side who's playing Warden. So if Ask can read into the push that FaZe are trying to do and put himself in a nice spot early, I imagine if they go for a triple take, you want Ask to be playing in that blue spot or to be playing behind the bomb chassis or something like that. If they get a read on it quickly, I'm a little worried for FaZe in the concept of the execute they're trying to go for.
Loading new mag.
I wonder if it will be a triple take. We are seeing the Hibana of Souls rotate over there now. Hasn't yet opened the kitchen hatch, I do not believe. Off goes a secondary EMP from Astro. He's going to have to toss another one to make sure it is going to enable those X-Kairos to detonate, but a C4's gone out the other way, and I believe Impacts as well. Which means that Souls has now used all of his X-Kairos, and it could not be easier for Nest to trick that. A single tiny hole has been added. And if anything, this really just favors Team Liquid.
So that cuts triple take out of the push for FaZe. They need to go for something else, but with only 40 seconds left to do it. A couple players pivoting over to that blue-sided take, while the rest of them are a little bit stuck on these main stairs.
Oh, no.
There is no kitchen hatch open, remember, so it's going to be a flood, a funnel from FaZe. Liquid have got a good hold of this round.
Astro looking to make his move in tandem with Cyber, but Cyber cannot quite get the angle, and it's a huge play from Resets. Cameraman has dropped into blue, but he's completely shut down. It's all up to Bullet and Souls now, desperately walking up through the hallway. The Hibana cannot do a damn thing. Palu cleans up the final 2 kills, and Team Liquid have won 4 rounds in a row on the map, and that makes 7 rounds in a row on the series.
Liquid are on fire at the moment, aren't they? They're just so in this game. They're so disciplined. Even though they're getting round after round after round, they're not getting cocky about their pushes. They could have easily been like, all right, there's no time. Let's look for these swings now, boys. They didn't do any of that. They sat there on the site knowing that FaZe are running out of options. This is the perfect time for FaZe to take their tactical timeout. They need to change something, whether it's something in the mental game, something in the macro game, because hard breach is super accessible to them, right? They are on their attacking half right now, cutting down the site, very accessible to them too, but they haven't been able to capitalize on the late rounds. There in that last one, they just simply didn't have enough options for their execute. They could not get triple O open, they didn't have kitchen hatch open, they could only go for Moto and blue, and that's not going to work out because you've got Astro in the back of AKs with Warden on 1.5 times, literally watching the hatch drop. So it just feels like FaZe need to make better use of the tools that they've been given on the attack, cut down the defense, but they need to anticipate that Liquid will be ready for the retake. This is a perfect time to take their tactical timeout to talk about that.
Well, that's exactly what they've done. A quick tactical timeout for FaZe. And on the back of it, the Monty makes his first appearance in this game. I believe this series, we didn't actually see a Monty in map 1, did we? We saw it in 1 round, I think. And it did work, believe it or not. I'm just bringing it up right now. FaZe Clan brought the Monty just the 1 time, and they did win that kitchen dining attack back on Villa. Could this be a key point of difference for FaZe Clan?
Looking for this defense over on the other side of the jacuzzi and master bedroom side of the map. Of course, the bomb site is CCTV and cache, but they do want to put some of that pressure over on the other side. Now, last time FaZe attacked this, they did go for a con-sided take, and it worked out pretty successfully. It didn't work out very successfully because Liquid were able to go for the retake, even though they got their way into the bomb site, right? So Liquid looking to contest a little bit earlier. They've even reinforced off some of logistics to try and prevent that push from coming through.
All right, well, let's see if FaZe can change things up. Stem the bleeding. If you include last map, it's been 7 rounds in a row for Liquid here. Where is FaZe? I want to see what the plan is with this Montaigne. Something a little bit different, something a little bit cheeky, something frustrating for Team Liquid to deal with.
Typically, teams will use this Monty to try and clear out the garage positions. Souls, once again, getting a nice, easy breach onto that kennel's wall. Cyber as well will try and make use of some of these windows, peeking his way into server and into rafters. Just looking to see if Liquid players make a mistake in their positioning. This is one of those games where, because so much stuff is being opened, the defense is quite claustrophobic. Liquid need to not move too far or too much, otherwise they're going to be taken down from a long line of sight.
Well, let's open up some avenues into garage as well. And it seems like FaZe will be going for that garage take with the Monty to help flush out this power position where Ask on the Azami is currently holding for Liquid. He hasn't really used too many of his Kiba barriers on that Rafters itself. Instead, he's used them to lock out that Montaigne.
So he hasn't used the key barriers on himself, but he's actually used it to create a new power position for Nesk, who's also aiding him in Rafters. He's blocked off that window that can be killed from the breach.
Oh no!
In that power position. Even though he's been taken down, Nesk is there for the trade in his position and can reclaim that Rafters 2 spot.
Yeah, and with that, Team Liquid have that man advantage. It was a nice play there from FaZe, but it didn't work out. However, great use of the incendiary from the Capitao to force Nesk out of position, and then a quick headshot from Cameraman. Resets on for this flank down below. Will FaZe Clan keep tabs on him? Will they be able to hunt him down, make sure that he doesn't get into the fight?
It's a 3-on-3. This is FaZe's best chance to lock out this round. FaZe are a team that is great at problem solving. They are great in these 3-on-3 situations and trying to make use of the tools that they have. The danger in this is that there are 3 C4s on the board at the moment. So even if they go for the default plant, they need to, one, worry about a lineup from the side of green, and another one, worry about Reset, who's just about to pre-place a C4 in the default plant.
But Cameraman's gone deep, and he's found a headshot onto Palu, trading back his teammate. That C4 on the default plant, not able to be effectual. Souls with the pistol to cover now. It's all up to Legolas in the 1v2, and the trade immediately there from Cameraman. Faking that diffuser was the right call, and FaZe Clan finally get their first round.
That was a great flood from FaZe. That was exactly the execute they needed to go for against the lineup that they were against. Like we saw earlier, Resets, he put a C4 on that default plant. There were 2 more C4s that could have denied the default plan as well. And so going in for something basic like that, trying to get the bomb down in your regular spot, it's never going to work. That 3-man flood that they went for was a perfect read in that late game, and finally nets FaZe Clan around.
Very close for comfort though, Mandy. Team Liquid have been keeping this map in their back pocket for such a long time. And that is what has really helped them today, I think. The fact that this map, it's not one that people see them play. I'm actually going to do some numbers right now. The last time that Team Liquid played Clubhouse was a 7-2 loss back in July to W7M. Team Liquid have been hiding this map ever since then. They must have realized, okay, look, this is not one of our primary maps. We're not going to be prioritizing getting that in right now. Instead, we will work on it in secret. And now they've brought it out. It was their map pick here in the series. And while FaZe has fought back, they're having to adapt really quickly to all of this new stuff that Team Liquid has brought to the table.
I'm going to preface that maybe this is me calling it too early, but it's quite uncharacteristic the way that FaZe played that last round. You don't normally see FaZe as a team of 5-man do like a 5-man take in the way that they did. You normally see FaZe, they've got 1 or 2 players that are sort of off on their own, almost all their players even looking for a sort of a probe attack. That's quite uncharacteristic of them to be able to achieve that last round attack that they're able to do. I'm very impressed by the way that they're able to shape up their playstyle. Now they're looking for an attack onto Jim and Bedroom. We can see the pressure immediately coming in from that Jacuzzi side, aided by Bullet and Cyber down below. They're the 2 operators with the vertical grenades, and Palu might be able to find a player in that basement. Bring around the Rosie with Palu on the other side. He's aware and takes down Bullet.
Huge pick there for Palu. I don't think Bullet even intended to fall down into the basement, but he loses his life regardless. Now a great nade. Oh, it lands perfectly onto Resets. Cyber, a huge play. Now Astro has this fantastic position, moving in, putting that pressure onto the Jacuzzi as that beeper starts to ring out. And Team Liquid, they might have the numbers equality, but they've got so much to worry about on site.
Like you said, Astro, he was in a good position, but the problem with that is that he can't actually get into Jim because there's a keeper barrier, a 1-way keeper barrier that's preventing the Monty from walking in because he's too fat. So he needs the help of some of his teammates to get on those explosives, clear out that keeper barrier so they can go for the Jacuzzi execute.
Cyber's made his way to the top of the stairs. The Monty to check Palu's position. Palu trying his best, but Cyber from the behind does take him down. Ask and Nest now the last 2, but that's a big play from Ask to get the injury on the player on the balcony. It's now Astro in a 1v2 on this Monty, as Souls has been taken down, but the Monty might be enough. Nesk hiding back in construction, and Astro will go for this revive. Nesk knows this is his best chance to try and win the round, but it's a bait from the Monty, doesn't matter! Team Liquid with the playmaker go up 5-1 on their defensive half.
Oh, that was such a tricky mid-round for FaZe. They had a great early round control going on there. They got the jacuzzi wall open early, and they had their 2 players convened right below that was starting to choke out the anchors with those grenades. But what happened was, in that mid-round, Monty couldn't go for the execute that he wanted to go for. And so he tried to go for this sort of roundabout push through the top of main stairs, and that gave enough time for Liquid to retake into the bomb site, to play that one-way Kiva barrier inside of Gym, to go back into bathroom, hold on to con control, that's what Nesk was doing, and enable those plays like that, as FaZe were a bit stuck really in the mid-round. They had nowhere to go because they couldn't get their Monty in.
Mandy, how do FaZe come back from this? They've used their tactical timeout and only managed to win a round in a 1v1. Now they move on to their defense. In theory, this should be the favored side, but it was FaZe Clan that chose to start on the attack. Team Liquid picked this map, which means FaZe Clan got their choice of where to start. They took a risk by choosing to start on that attacking side, and it didn't pay off. Now they have to show that they can come back on this defensive side, which, according to my reckoning, they are incredibly good at. They've won 69% of their defenses on this map the last 3 times they've played it. Can they ring true here and start to build some momentum back?
FaZe looking similarly for a 3-floored roam. Not quite as intense as the one that Liquid went for, but still something. We've got a mirror here inside of bathroom that's preventing the entry to come in from jacuzzi, but there's actually no FaZe players there. It's simply there as perceived pressure for Liquid. It's forcing them to drown out this top to ground floor and just double check that there are in fact no FaZe players around.
Nesk is the first one in the building. Right upstairs, drone ahead of him. 2 drones ahead of him, in fact. Some drone denial. But it looks like 4 of those FaZe players, all 5 are actually retreated back to site really early.
It makes sense, right? It's just perceived pressure that they put for that top floor. They don't want to give away their lives on the roam clear, because a lot of that utility they have in their hands is actually pretty good for the late round as well, right? We have Cyber, who's generating those Wamai discs. We still have 1 mirror that's being used on the site. As well as that, we've got the Kiva barriers, which Bullet can use to architect the bomb site depending on the push that Liquid are going for. I think they've realized now that the entire map has essentially been given to them, and they can start to work through this mid-round Liquid. We've already got the blue hatch getting opened, and some vertical can be made quick use of by Palu.
It is a strange call for me, for FaZe to not even try and roam, not even try and shoot drones. To me, it signals that they are playing scared. And while, yes, they have some good setup on site, Team Liquid have so much time to deal with it, and so many tools as well. I wonder, will this kitchen hatch be a priority? It looks like Ask is rotating over toward it now with the Hibana. But with both the Moto and the blue hatch already open, still a Selma remaining for Dirt if that's not open, or the triple wall. There's so many options for Liquid.
So the next minigame to be played is going to be this kitchen hatch. Now, 2 of those X-Kairos have gone off. An impact trick attempt is coming out from the Azami, but it only clears 1 more X-Kairos. He still has some in the hands, and he can just simply put that on. There are no more impacts left to deal with that, except on Cyber, who's residing inside of blue. He's not going to be able to stop that.
Yeah, so that kitchen hatch will be open. I mean, it's pretty hard to counter the Hibana when you just put 2 on at a time. You're going to need a lot of impacts in order to deny that. What is the play from Liquid? 25 seconds remaining. A lot of options, but where will they commit? No one in kitchen at the moment. The drop in through the memo hatch. It's 2 players. Lagonas with that diffuser. Astro on the other side with the shotgun. It's resets to find the opening. Ars takes down Astro. He doesn't care at all. Nesk on for the backstab. Caught on that mirror window, but it might not matter. Souls is going to have to do a hell of a lot to keep FaZe in the game, but he's been taken down. It is all up to cameraman. 1v3 becomes a 1v2. As he hears the telltale ringing of that AK-12, it doesn't matter what he's gonna do, because Lagonas is there, and Team Liquid up 6-1 and on series point.
Fantastic push from Liquid. Like you said, they opened up all of their options. And what that meant for FaZe was that they couldn't get a read onto exactly what execute that Liquid were going to go for. It looked like it was going to be a kitchen hatch drop, especially from the way that they ended up setting it up. What Liquid ended up doing was going for a blue and moto rush. They even had the diffuser, I believe, that came down that moto hatch later on to execute into church. The only things they had to deal with there was one keeper barrier that was just inside on that table, but because they had the numbers to flood their way and they fully committed to only 2 spots of entry, there was a lot of redundancy in their plan as they went for that flood. It was messy, yes. They knew that they were going to go down for it. They knew that they were going to fight for it, but because they had all 5 of their players committed to doing only those 2 rooms of control, it was enough redundancy to get their way into the site.
Mandy, how did we end up here? Look at the scoreline. It's 6-1 on the second map. After an incredibly tight 8-6 overtime, where FaZe looked to be the favorite team and Liquid just barely pulled that rug out from under them. We go on to map 2, Team Liquid's dark horse pick of Clubhouse, and they are dominating FaZe Clan.
It's impressive, it really is. Ever since Liquid took their tactical timeout in the map 1, that was the turning point for them. Whether it was the turning point in the mental, it was also a turning point in the playstyle. The momentum has carried through onto this map. FaZe look out of sync. They look disconnected. They're no longer a step ahead of Liquid. Now Liquid will start to mount their attack onto the bar and stage bomb site. Uncharacteristic, tertiary from FaZe, but they feel like they need to try something new.
In the last 10 rounds of this match, Team Liquid have won 9. And FaZe have only won a single round. And that was in a 1v1 after a tactical timeout. They've gone to bar stage. It's a huge risk, but they can't delay, they can't hold back, and they can't afford to make any more mistakes.
Liquid looking for what is a pretty linear attack so far onto the bar and stage. They've already got the strip club wall open. The next step is making sure that there are no FaZe players that are able to make use of this vertical pressure. Whether it's going to be the gym hatch or inside of Master itself, playing those vertical lines of sight so that Lagonis can rotate back down and go for that plant. Some Selmas are going to be dedicated to clearing some of those castle barricades, but there's still a keeper barricade set up here inside of gym that is helping these FaZe players maneuver through the top floor.
And Neska's found the opener, cameraman's down. Astro has been trying so hard. He's been that flex player going onto that Monty, calling what FaZe might need to spice up their game. And he feels that pressure on his shoulders as he holds upstairs now. Bullet though, he's taken down Nesk. A belated trade, but one nonetheless.
This is very, very tough entry for Liquid. They need to sweep through this top floor. Otherwise, Astro, he can simply play this vertical. He can hold on to that gym hatch. He can deny the entry into the site or play any vertical lines of sight they may have here. Liquid, what are you going to do now? Are you going to keep clearing through that top floor, or is it going to be a change of plan?
Breaching the keeper barrier now, and perfect read from Resets. Cyber, he's read like a book, but the trade is on. Astro holding his position firmly. Ask feeling like he's not going to drop that hatch. As Palu starts to poke and prod on the site, he doesn't go down to the spray from Souls, fortunately, and Lagonis decides to just send it. Team Liquid throw out all the stops. Ask just barely seeing the player. Headshot with the pistol. It's all on Bullet. And he will go down with just a single bullet in the 1v2 now. To save the map, to save their major.
15 seconds left.
FaZe will rely on this one player. He holds above, but what a nade! Team Liquid, the Italian, Brazilian Stallions, they get a huge win over FaZe Clan. And with that, they will go to the semifinals.
And who else to close out that game but Palu, the man himself, the head, the voice of Team Liquid. Closing it out with a grenade through the floor, and FaZe, they go down so easily.
What an anticlimax for FaZe. After starting so flawlessly in the group stage, they looked like they might be returning to their major championship. Sweden was all theirs last year, but this time around, it's no shot. It's all for Team Liquid. And so far, this major bracket has been a full repeat of the Copa Elite 6. W7M taking down Black Dragons, and Team Liquid with a far more dominant scoreline over FaZe than anyone could have expected.
Yeah, that was impressive, seriously. On Clubhouse as well, a map that is somewhat of an anomaly as well for Team Liquid. They did it in dominant fashion. 7-1 is no scoreline to scoff at, especially against a team of the caliber of FaZe. It felt like as soon as Liquid took that tactical timeout on map 1, that the momentum carried throughout the rest of the series. Map 2 was completely in their favor, completely in their momentum in their swing, and Liquid claim it 2-0.
Since Liquid made that comeback on the first map, it was 10 rounds for them and only 1 for FaZe Clan. You don't see scorelines that dominant every day. Team Liquid certainly have FaZe's number. There's something magical about that matchup, and FaZe Clan will go home with incredible disappointment. What a tournament they started with, and the tournament that they ended with was a far cry from what they wanted.
Absolutely. I think it goes to show Liquid's progression throughout these past couple months. FaZe, we were saying, are one of those top teams. They were 1 round away from being Berlin major champions. But Liquid, since they put Lagonis in that roster, it's injected this new life into them. It's made Lagonis being on that construction anchor and hard breach role has really enabled the rest of Team Liquid to just be super fluid. It's allowed them to do these playstyle changes like we saw in map 1. And I think as a result, in these past 2 months, the progression of this team has just far exceeded the progression of FaZe. FaZe is still FaZe, but Liquid are a new Liquid.
Well, after missing out on Berlin, Team Liquid are once again in the top 4 here, just like they were at the start of the year in Charlotte. Let's see if they can go even further. But first, the analyst will break down that game. So over to you, Milosh.
Hey, I wish it was Milosh. Unfortunately, he's stuck with me on the stage at the moment. We'll get back to him a little bit later on. But I am joined by the man of the hour. You mentioned that Liquid were not in Berlin. The last time we stood together on a stage was in Charlotte, Palu. Is it good to be back?
Of course it is. Like, missing Berlin was really hard for us. Like, PSK was really stressed out, so he got a burnout. He left the team, so we bring out Lagonis, and like the team's so amazing right now. We can beat anyone.
You are back, and you are back with a bang. And I know that you are, you're a very modest man. You're one of the nicest men in Siege, right? And I know that the crowd here absolutely love you too. Would you still say that you just made easy work of FaZe Clan?
Well, like, Villa was harder than we thought because like we were throwing so many rounds. Like, I think we lost 1v5, so yeah. It was supposed to be easier. But like we were so prepared. Like I think they had no idea we would pick Clubhouse. Like we haven't played it any time that's in this stage. So I think we're surprised now a lot.
Let's not forget that FaZe Clan were the runners-up in Berlin. Do you see that as a bit of a statement win for you guys?
It's hard to say. Like right now, I just want to think that we want to beat Dub7M, and that's it.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Lagonis. He came in this split. He is your IGL, and he's made a tremendous difference. What's it been like having him as part of your roster?
Well, we made a lot of changes, like in the team, like mentality especially. Like everyone is on the same book right now, on the same page. So we are feeling like as a team, we are so good. Like every time we are playing together, and like never getting, how can I say, like we are never dropping a match. We are always like even if it's 6-0, we are going to get it back.
Feels like the last 3 months your team has really evolved, and the Liquid fans around the world always say that this is going to be our year. This is the time where we get it done. What do you want to say to your fans? Is this your major?
Yes, it is. We are going to do everything we can to beat everyone we face. So we have 2 steps. Let's make it work. And of course, I want to thank everyone that's cheering for us. Yeah. I'm really grateful, and we are keeping doing everything we can.
Let's not forget, W7M are going to be standing in your way. They are undefeated throughout the groups, didn't drop a map in the quarterfinals. What do you make of them?
It's hard to say. They are a great team. Like we played against them last time in the Copa Elite 6, we lost to them, so we want to get a revenge on them, like a real revenge. So that's it.
Palu, just before I let you go, because I am going to throw it back to the desk, I complimented your trainers a little bit earlier on. Am I right in thinking that your entire team has got the same pair of kicks on right now?
Yeah, like right now it's the part of our uniform, so we are, as I said, like all connected.
Well, give it up for Palu, for Liquid, booking their spot in the semi-finals and their incredible kick game. Can't get enough of that. Commiserations to FaZe Clan. Over to you, Milosh, on the desk to pick that quarterfinal apart.
Thank you very much, Steve. Yes, we're back here on the analyst desk. I'm Most Medic, your host. With me are two wonderful persons here, Anne and Fresh. And by golly gee, Liquid have done it. They absolutely roll over FaZe, especially on map 2. And they're now in the semifinals. The team that had it all so close in Berlin, unfortunately knocked out in FaZe. Let's talk about the winners. Liquid looked in complete control, Anne.
They did, and we talked in the beginning of this this map. Oh, it might be a hidden map. You know, it's very risky to take your opponent to a map you haven't really played, but I think it may have been a map that they've been keeping as a secret for a little while, because they came out absolutely smashing. Those first 2 rounds, the diffuser was planted by FaZe, the retakes, absolutely perfect. We heard it about in the interview, how they were playing as a team. Well, that's what you really see in those retakes when the diffuser is down and when you're trying to retake that as a defender. There was good utility use from FaZe. They had some really solid attempts, but the team play coming out from Liquid today just was very, very good. They went for that Moto and Blue push as well in round 7, where they dropped the hatches and went through Blue. They created so many openings for themselves and so many opportunities, but they chose that one. There was also a shock, which I thought, oh, that's going to be a problem in Church, but they countered that by going prone. Such smart thinking, all those little issue-solving kind of things that we've seen, and a very, very good performance from Liquid.
Do you know what, Anne? I'm excited for tomorrow, because W7M and Liquid have got similar storylines in these semi-finals where they've brought out a permaban and absolutely destroyed their opponents on them. Destroying FaZe in a semi-final of a major on Clubhouse, your permaban, it literally is, it was wholly planned by Liquid. I'm slightly wondering if they would have won on any other map, given the way they're playing. Like you say, the teamwork and the dynamic and the organization that Lagonis has gone. But they've got themselves to the semi-final, right? Maybe. Could they have held it for later? Sure. But they've got themselves there.
I see one very sad trend, though, for FaZe.
Oh.
Speaking about this bomb site, I think they are going to have some very, very bad memories about Bar Stage in Clubhouse. It was that on the Berlin Major Final. It's that bomb site that eventually led to their demise in the Jönköping Major. What's next?
I'm sure that Hap is very happy that we're talking about Bar Stage.
I think for FaZe as well, just a quick note on them, is that they're going to go away from this feeling that they've not put 100% into today. They're going to go away and thinking, we left something on the server today. Liquid looked good, but was they beatable? Yes. Was there multiple post plants thrown by FaZe? Yes. And another team, a W7M on their day, wouldn't have allowed Liquid today to have made that so clear.
See, I would go out and hinge everything on a hot take that FaZe would beat W7M, but the only team that would beat FaZe is Liquid. And so now going into the semis, things get extra complicated.
We just got a triangle of amazing Brazilian teams.
Legit, look at the entirety of...
It was no. Sorry.
Look at Copa Elite 6. Look at how things are going down in BR6. It makes sense.
Yep.
Even to, host that knows nothing, like me. There it is.
Don't say that.
I hide it. It's down. There it is. 7-1 Liquid versus FaZe. Incredible from Liquid. You're talking about Lagotness and how well he did in this game. But Neskin Palu also really showing up. And I'm asking myself, especially for new players that are used to Liquid of old, resets and ask, are they pulling the weight that is asked of them in this game?
I mean, if you look at that Liquid scoreboard, if you come away from a game and you're looking at that, and you're saying, right, Nesk is, 9-3. The whole team has put in a shift and more. What you want when you've got a team of champions, a team of champion players and a champion team, you want them to play all the maps. But then when they're playing the maps, you want them to all be doing 100% plus 10. You want them to be doing their job and that little bit more. That happened today with Liquid.
And it's good to see as well, if you think about the first map and the performances of Recess and Ask, they were maybe a little bit better, even better than this is here, for example. But it's good to know that if they have a slightly less performance, there's also other players on this roster that can step up and take up that top role there. One thing that stands out for me specifically for FaZe as well is if you look at the positions of Cameraman and Cyber. If I remember correctly, they were about the same last map as well. Cyber really not stepping up to the plate as we are used from him. Cameraman had a really difficult start as well on the previous map. This map he was allowed to play with his utility a little bit more. We saw some good plays with Capitao, but it just wasn't enough.
Okay, I think that's pretty clear and summarized. FaZe still made it to the quarterfinal. Yeah. They fell to an incredibly powerful Liquid. Like, we haven't seen a Liquid perform so well before. So takeaways from this if you're FaZe?
I think takeaways for FaZe is they left something on the server. I think that, you can't hide away from that. You can't hide away from the fact that groups haven't been great. They got through. in a weak group. In a weak group where third and fourth was probably never getting through in any group. And then they've come to the quarterfinals and they've put on a really bad show. They've left something in the server. They'll go away. They'll be hurting. That's the first emotion. They will be hurting today. They'll go away. They'll figure things out. They're going to be back for SI.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's FaZe. They're strong. They will be going deep at SI. But they've got a few months now just to figure it out.
I like to think about positives as well, you know, and feel like they had some good moments as well. When you think about the good droning coming out from Liquid continuously, it was FaZe that eventually played with Amazi and were really able to stop Liquid from having so many drones out open in the field. If you think about those improvements literally happening mid-game, then I believe that there's more in store for them for future events.
All right, then let's wrap things up with our bracket update. What does it all look like? Put it up on the screen for you to see. We've gone through 2 of our 4 best-of-3 matches here in the Jönköping Major. Day 1 of the playoffs are just cutting teams off left and right. Our first 2 matches, or 2 Brazilian matches, are done. W7M and Team Liquid move forward. Of course, you have to say goodbye to Black Dragons and FaZe Clan. That'll be heading home come the end of this major. But now we focus on the top. Sonics versus TSM and Wolves versus BDS. 2 big games. We set them up in the pre-show as the top 2 teams in NA, the top 2 teams in EU. They want to prove to themselves and to everybody around why they're the top in the region, and specifically that they are the top of the region, and then to go into an international matchup in the semifinal to have a hope at the grand final. There's a lot here on the line, and so it's time for us maybe to take a quick break. Then when we come back, we'll be ready to go for an EU versus EU banger. I'm sure here at the EUL desk, we know a thing or 2 about Europe. So we'll take a few minutes. We'll come back. It's then BDS versus Wolves.